Part 229. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 2282. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan drove to the hospital and found Dr. Zhao, Lu Yun's father's attending physician. Lu Ligan put the vest bag on the table in front of him. Dr. Zhao opened it and took a look. His eyes widened and he asked, "Is this the medicine your father-in-law usually takes?" Lu Ligan said it should be, but I think it has been opened. Dr. Zhao couldn't help but laugh. Life in old age is really exciting. Yes, Lu Ligan said, no wonder he refuses to leave every time we want to pick him up. Then there is no freedom, right? Dr. Zhao said. After speaking, he shook his head and added, if you eat this every day, even a cow can't bear it. Fortunately, he has no history of heart disease. If he had, he would probably not even be able to bear 120. There is no need to go. These types of drugs, without exception, contain steroids, which are stimulants. What to do next? Zhang Chen asked. To be honest, I'm at my wit's end, Dr. Zhao said. Seeing their confusion, he explained, if it were a regular medicine, I would check the pharmacopoeia and its ingredients would be clear. I didn't know all of these. There is no way to give a corresponding plan for what ingredients it consists of. That means there is no other way, Zhang Chen asked. Let me tell you this, doctors are not omnipotent, and I am neither. The medical problems that humans can solve now are only about 70%. For every additional percentage point, the average lifespan of humans can be increased by 2 to 3 years. Sui, hey, I'm going too far. Now the person is not awake yet, his kidney function is abnormal and his electrolytes are disordered. He can only continue dialysis, which means cleaning and filtering his blood over and over again. Simply put, equipment is used to replace the work of his kidneys and relieve his kidneys' pain. Work pressure. As long as his kidney function slowly recovers, maybe he can wake up tonight, maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after tomorrow. You should be busy doing whatever you want, there is no use here. When he wakes up, I will contact you on WeChat, okay? Lu Ligan and Zhang Chen quickly said goodbye. By the way, let me explain, if he wakes up, you'd better take him with him after he is discharged from the hospital. If this kind of thing happens again, he may not be so lucky, Dr. Zhao said. Lu Ligan said, okay, I understand, thank you, Dr. Zhao. When the two people walked to the door, Dr. Zhao stopped them, pointed to the vest bag on the table, and said to them, this, and this. I'll leave it to you to study and try to make 1% progress, Lu Ligan said. Dr. Zhao laughed, stretched out his hand and pushed the vest bag aside to the corner of the table. When the two people got into the car, Lu Ligan yelled, "Oh!" Zhang Chen asked, "What's wrong?" No, I'm going to get that bag of steel and iron back and leave it here." "Do you know that I'm leaving something behind?" Lu Ligan asked. "What did Zhang Chen say?" "The laughing stock, that's just a bag of laughing stock left here," Lu Ligan said. Forget it, as long as you can save your life, let others laugh," Zhang Chen said, "it's none of your business if they laugh at them. Do you really think of yourself as your son-in-law?" "That's right," Lu Ligan said, starting the car and not going back to get the vest bag. As the car drove on the road, Lu Ligan said, "Zhang Chen, there is a problem we can discuss." "What's the problem?" Zhang Chen asked. "Do you think this old man Lu is buying these medicines because he feels like he's not doing well down there, or is it that after taking these medicines, he is so strong that he can't do it without belly dancing, otherwise he won't be subdued?" "How do I know?" Zhang Chen said, "either go back and get those medicines, and you can try them." "No, wait until I'm Lao Liu's age and try again," Lu Ligan said and laughed. "Why are you laughing?" Zhang Chen asked. "I remembered one thing. Do you remember that the Yongcheng Spoke factory used to be a pharmaceutical factory now? It was the one started by a few returned PhDs, Lu Ligan asked. Remember, I met their boss when we were having dinner in Yongcheng. He said he was producing intermediates for Viagra. The profit was very high. He drove a BMW to the airport to deliver goods. There were several boxes of medicine in the trunk. The value is higher than that BMW, Zhang Chen said. That's right, it's the product from their factory. It has no product, no formal packaging or drug name. It's just a white pill. It is now a good gift in Yongcheng and is very popular among the responsible comrades of the relevant departments. Lu Ligan said with a smile. You, Zhang Chen scolded. I'm not going to lie to you. It turns out that when the director of the Yongcheng Bureau of Land and Resources was arrested, in addition to a dozen 001s, there were several boards of this medicine in his bag. The person handling the case told me personally, otherwise how would I know, Lu Ligan said. The two of them returned home. At this time, the fever on Lu Yun's face subsided and she became calmer. Zhang Chen told them the matter, and Lu Yun cursed. Ignore him, let's go eat hot pot. The eating and drinking man and woman will issue is now in full swing. Lu Yun and Xiaofang are both very busy. During the meal, Zhang Chen and Lu Yun said that there is no danger now anyway. Either you go back to Hangzhou first, while Ganzi and I stay here. When my uncle wakes up and is discharged from the hospital, we will mobilize him to go to Hangzhou with us. It will definitely not work if we leave him here alone. Whether he wants to go or not, Lu Yun said angrily. Lu Ligan said to them, no, we can't help him, and we have to tie him up. When we get to Hangzhou, Lu Yun, you won't have time to take care of him. I think it's still the same. Let Tan Shahen help find a rehabilitation hospital and stay there for a few days. We'll talk about it in a month, and then we'll make further arrangements based on the situation. Xiaofang and Zhang Chen both said this was good, so Lu Yun agreed, and the matter was settled. The next morning, the four of them went from the hotel to the place where Lu Yun's father lived. Lu Yun wanted to see what she should bring back to Hangzhou first. After walking around, she didn't know what to bring, clothes, etc. Anyway, it's not too late to go to Hangzhou to buy some. There doesn't seem to be anything else worth bringing. Finally, she put the unfinished manuscript My 38 Spring and Autumn and the two photo albums in which her mother had been absent on the bookshelf. She and her father were still looking at the front and smiling, while her mother was folded to the back frame, and a black and white photo of his father when he was young, looking high-spirited. They then went to the hospital. Lao Lu was still living in the ICU. He still hadn't woken up. He had tubes inserted into his body and the dialysis machine beside the bed was working. When the nurses saw them coming in, they lowered their heads and chuckled. Lu Yun's she blushed slightly, knowing what the nurses were laughing at. Dr. Zhao comforted Lu Yun and said that today's situation is better than yesterday. It will not be long before your father wakes up. Lu Yun said apologetically, I still have a lot of things to do in the company in Hangzhou, so I have to rush back today. Okay. The danger is that there is no danger anymore. As soon as he wakes up, he will be transferred to the inpatient ward and will be observed for a few more days. By the way, your husband is still here, right? Dr. Zhao asked. Lu Yun said nothing. Lu Ligan and Zhang Chen nodded together, and Dr. Zhao said, that's fine. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan drove Lu Yun and Xiaofang to the airport. When they arrived at the security checkpoint, Lu Yun, Zhang Chen, and Lu Ligan said, thank you. Every time you come, it's this kind of mess. If you weren't here, I really don't know what I would do. No matter how polite you are, it's all a trivial matter, Zhang Chen said. We also happen to inspect the work here in Chongqing, Lu Ligan said. At around 9 o'clock the next morning, Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan had just woken up. Dr. Zhao sent Lu Ligan a WeChat message saying that your father had woken up. The two people rushed to the hospital. In the intensive care unit, they saw that Lu Suanren had indeed woken up, with his eyes open and looking at the ceiling above his head. Zhang Chen came closer and called, "Uncle, uncle." He looked at Zhang Chen, glazed eyes. Lu Ligan came closer. Old Liu's eyelids twitched, a smile flashed across his face, and then he looked at him with dull eyes. Dr. Zhao told them that it was very possible that his heart had stopped when the incident occurred, that some part of his brain had been damaged, and that he had lost his memory. Fortunately, all his physical signs have now returned to normal. "What's wrong if the inspection can't find it?" Zhang Chen asked. Dr. Zhao shook his head and said, "You also know that human beings are now." I know, his situation belongs to the 30%, Lu Ligan said quickly. Dr. Zhao nodded, "Accurate." "What's next?" Zhang Chen asked. "Today he will be transferred to the inpatient ward and will continue to be observed for 2 or 3 days. If everything is normal, he can be discharged. The brain needs to recover slowly on his own," Dr. Zhao said. In the next 2 days, Lao Liu's condition did not worsen, but improved. He could start taking liquid food, and he could also sit up on the bed with support. However, whether he was looking at Zhang Chen or Lu Ligan, his eyes were always the same. They were all sluggish, and there was no response even when I called him. Lu Ligan said, "I don't know what the reaction will be if I ask 2 people to come over and dance for him. Maybe it will be fine." "Zhang Chen, do you want?" Lu Ligan turned his head and saw Zhang Chen staring at him. Lu Ligan did not continue and ended with a smile. They could not stay in Chongqing for a long time. When Lao Lu slowly recovered, Dr. Zhao also told them that Lao Lu could now be discharged from the hospital and just go home and lie in bed with someone to take care of him. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan couldn't leave him in Chongqing, so they found a nanny. They held a conference call with Lu Yun, Tan Shuhen, and Xiaofang, and unanimously decided to take him back to Hangzhou. Tan Shuhen had already found a very good family in Hangzhou. A good rehabilitation hospital, it is said that many retired cotters live there. Lu Ligan asked Dr. Zhao if he could take a plane under the current situation. "I can't guarantee this," Dr. Zhao told him. Zhang Chen recalled the scene when they went to Shangruo and brought Lao Tan back to Hangzhou. He told Lu Ligan that it was better to call an ambulance and we would drive back to Hangzhou together. There would be paramedics following, so it should be fine. Dr. Zhao also thought this was the best way, but he contacted the emergency center and told them that they would not go to Hangzhou no matter what. They thought the journey was too far and it was useless to pay more. Tan Shuhen contacted the emergency center in Hangzhou, but they refused to come to Chongqing to pick her up because they thought it was too far. Besides, the patients they picked up were not emergency patients. Finally, Tan Shuhen contacted the rehabilitation hospital. The rehabilitation hospital is privately owned and they also have ambulances. As long as the money is available, they are willing to go to the moon to pick up the patients. They sent 2 drivers to take turns driving on the road, and also sent the doctor was accompanied by a nurse. Lu Ligan and Zhang Chen moved Lao Lu directly from the hospital ward to the ambulance, and then set off. They drove, sometimes leading the way in front of the ambulance, and sometimes following behind it. "Thank you Brokeback Mountain for the tip. Thank you Guangchen for your monthly ticket. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2283. The 2 ambulance drivers took turns driving, and Zhang Chen and Lu Lepol also took turns driving. Apart from going into the service area to eat, use the restroom and refuel, there was almost no stopping to rest. The only time was when they drove to the Inchi service area. Zhang Chen and the others opened 3 rooms in the hotel in the service area, but instead of resting, they let everyone go into the room and take a shower. The weather in September was very hot, although the car I kept the air conditioner on, but I still felt sticky. On the way back from Chongqing, there was an old Lu lying in the ambulance. He was not very fast and kept walking at a speed of 80 or 90 yards. It was evening when they set off from Chongqing, and it was already evening when they arrived in Hangzhou. They had driven more than 1,600 kilometers for almost 24 hours. When Zhang Chen and the others arrived at the rehabilitation hospital, Tan Shuhen, Lu Yun, and Xiao Fang, as well as the hired nurse Lao Chen, were already waiting for them here. Lao Liu's ward is on the first floor. It is a single room with high-end decoration and a bathroom. Outside the screen of the window is the garden of the rehabilitation hospital. The birds are singing and the flowers are fragrant. It is really fragrant. There are osmanthus trees in the garden, and they are blooming now. In winter, even if the windows are closed, there are waves of sweet-scented osmanthus fragrance sneaking into the room. Not long after they arrived, the director of the hospital rushed over, shook hands with them one by one, and then told them, "It's okay. You can rest assured when you get here. Tomorrow morning, we will give him a comprehensive examination first. I will also contact the doctor in Chongqing to understand the patient's entire disease process and treatment process. Don't worry. The director is in his 40s, has fair skin, and wears a pair of gold-rimmed glasses. This kind of hospital is originally a sanatorium. The doctors here are basically half a bucket of water, and they don't have any hard skills." But the director, he acted like an expert and spoke like an expert, so everyone believed him, especially Lu Yun, who felt very relieved to hear what the dean said. The director personally took them to visit the entire hospital. The hospital is not small, with 4 5-story wards, and a diagnosis and treatment center. In the diagnosis and treatment center, all the equipment found in ordinary hospitals is available here, and there are also 2 ICAs. The dean proudly told them that no matter how demanding the retired cotters are, our facilities here are not enough. Put it this way, except for MRI, we can handle all other examinations ourselves. Next to the Diagnosis and Treatment Center is the Administration Building, and the first floor of the Administration Building is the canteen. When they went there, it happened to be mealtime. The food in the canteen was also very good. There were big pot dishes and special stir-fries. You could order whatever you wanted. They walked around and felt that everything here was very good. Just like the dean said, when they got here, they could rest assured and settle down. Lu Yun bought a meal card for his father in the cafeteria, loaded it with 20,000 yuan, returned to the ward, handed the meal card to Lao Chen, and said to Lao Chen, "Master Chen, whatever you want to eat, you can go to the cafeteria yourself. No, don't be polite." Lao Chen said sheepishly, "Our caregivers here have to eat for themselves." Lu Yun said, "Why are you so clear about it? Just brush it up." Lao Chen quickly said, "Thank you, thank you." Lao Chen is a 24-hour escort. There is a folding recliner behind the door of the ward. It is folded up during the day and opened in the ward at night. Lao Chen sleeps on the recliner. Lu Yun gave her mobile phone number to Lao Chen and asked him to call her if he needed anything. She also took out 10,000 yuan and left it with Lao Chen, telling him that if he needed to buy anything, just go and buy it. No need to ask me first. Lao Chen refused to accept the money. He said, "Okay, I understand. If necessary, I will buy it first and ask you to reimburse me when you come. I have no place to put so much money. Besides, I need to use it here. It's just a small amount of money. I can still afford to buy toilet paper, toothpaste, toothbrushes, and so on." Lu Yun felt that what Lao Chen said was reasonable, so she didn't force herself and put the money back into her bag. Lu Ligan and Zhang Chen had been with Lao Lu for 2 nights in the hospital in Chongqing and had some experience. Zhang Chen and Lao Chen said that teacher Lu must be clean and would not poop or urinate on the bed. After 2 hours, just use a chamber pot to urinate for him once, and after 7 or 8 hours, take him to the bathroom, help him sit on the toilet, and he will poop on his own. Lao Chen nodded and said yes. It's okay to drink water, porridge, and milk. You can feed him some vegetable soup every day. Zhang Chen said to Lao Chen. Lao Chen said, yes, I understand. The last person I took care of also lay in bed and could not move. I took care of him for more than 3 years. How is he now? Lu Ligan asked. Died. Lao Chen said that Lu Ligan really wanted to slap his mouth for asking more about this. He looked at Lu Yun, and Lu Yun smiled and said, it's okay. I have accepted this reality. If my father can lie down for more than 3 years, I will be very happy contented. Lao Chen quickly said, okay, okay, look at how good Mr. Lu looks and his face is red. People who don't know can't tell that he is a patient. Lao Lu was lying there with his eyes open and dull, not caring what they were saying. Lu Yun walked closer and looked at Lao Lu, and Lao Lu also looked at her. His eyes were motionless, which made people feel a little flustered. He is looking in your direction but cannot see you at all. Lu Yun said to him, Dad, you are here, I will leave first. Old Lu looked at her and said nothing. Lu Yun wanted to say something else, but she didn't say it. She turned around and said to Tan Shahen and the others, let's go. The rehabilitation hospital is in the west of the city, not far from the Sky City e-commerce industrial park. If there is no entertainment in the evening, Lu Yun will get off work early every afternoon, drive to the rehabilitation hospital, and sit on the chair beside Lao Liu's bed for half an hour. Lu Yun still didn't dare to look at her father's motionless face and dull eyes. When she looked at it, she always felt terrified. The person lying on the hospital bed is still breathing, eating, and excreting, but he can no longer recognize everyone. Whether it is your eyes or your voice, they will be blocked by his dull eyes or inhaled silently. Without feedback, those dull eyes are like an abyss, you can't see the bottom. Lu Yun sat on the bedside and didn't say anything. She knew that what she said was in vain. She stopped talking in vain. Lu Yun didn't dare to look at that face, so she took out her mobile phone, looked down at it, or simply looked at it from her bag. Took out his laptop, put it on the bedside table and started working. While Lu Yun was here, Lao Chen would go away and go to the bathroom to wash clothes, or go to the hospital's canteen to buy something, or go to the next door ward to chat with fellow residents. Lu Yun stayed here for half an hour, definitely not more than 35 minutes. She stood up and looked at the expressionless face. She wanted to say goodbye but didn't say goodbye, turned around and walked out. More than half a month passed like this, and it was October in the blink of an eye. On this day, Lu Yun left the office at 4:30 and went to the rehabilitation hospital as usual. She walked into her father's ward and said hello to Lao Chen. Sat down on the chair beside the bed. Lao Chen told Lu Yun that he was going to a small store to buy an inflatable mattress so that teacher Liu's waist would be more comfortable when he sat up to eat. Otherwise, his waist would be empty. Lu Yun nodded and said, go ahead, Master Chen. Old Chen walked out. Lu Yun lowered her head, picked up her phone and started to browse the circle of friends. The first one she found was Zhang Xiangbei. Zhang Xiangbei's circle of friends posted some pictures of their ranch every day. The ranch in the picture, it's changing every day. Today, their first bullpen has been built. Lu Yun clicked a like and pursed her lips with a smile. Yao Mei. Suddenly this voice came, which shocked Lu Yun. She raised her head and saw that her father's face had turned to her. The expression on his face became vivid, and his eyes were shining, no longer as if they were covered with a layer of light. Thin shade. Lu Yun asked in a trembling voice, are you awake? The father smiled silently and asked, where am I? Hangchang, you are in the rehabilitation hospital in Hangchang, Lu Yun said. I'm in Hangzhou. Old Lu was surprised. When did I come? Did I come by plane? Why don't I remember? Lu Yun smiled and said, the ambulance here picked you up. You passed out in Chongqing, do you remember? Old Lu shook his head and woke up from a coma. It was as if a switch had been turned on his whole body. All of old Liu's memories came back. When he went back, the last memory he could find was of himself and a little girl in a hotel. He couldn't remember what happened next. He couldn't remember the time he passed out, let alone the time he came to Hangzhou in an ambulance. Lu Yun immediately called Zhang Chen and Xiao Fang to tell them that her father had woken up. When they heard this, they both screamed and told them to come right away. I haven't called Zanzi and Zhenzhen yet. No need to fight, I'll go talk to them and bring them over, Zhang Chen said. Lu Yun smiled and said yes. When Lu Yun was on the phone, Lao Lu had already sat up in bed. He felt that he had been sleeping for too long and his whole body was limp. He wanted to stand up and walk around. His feet touched the ground and he wanted to stand up. He tilted and fell down. His feet had no strength at all. Lu Yun exclaimed, "Ah!" Fortunately, Lao Chen came back at this time. He threw away the inflatable mattress in his hand, took 2 steps, and reached out to support Lao Lu. Lao Chen called Teacher Lu and helped him back to the bed to lie down. Lu Yun called the dean, and the dean came over immediately. He came at a trot and was still breathing heavily when he came in. When he saw Lao Lu, he laughed and said, "See, if you take the right medicine every day, miracles will happen." Lu Yun quickly said, "Thank you, thank you." The dean walked over, bent down, and asked old Lu, "Teacher Lu, how do you feel?" "After a long nap, I woke up." "Why do my feet have no strength at all?" Lao Lu asked. "It's normal. You've been lying in bed for almost a month without exercise, and the muscles in your legs have atrophied and need to be recovered slowly." The dean turned to Lao Chen and said to him, "Starting from tomorrow, you push Mr. Lu on the lawn outside in a wheelchair every day and help him walk slowly. Don't be impatient. If you feel tired, don't walk anymore. He will recover soon." Old Chen said yes. Xiao Fang arrived first, followed by Zhang Chen, Lu Ligan, and Tan Shahen. Lu Ligan came in and saw Lao Lu sitting on the bed, talking to Xiao Fang. Lu Ligan shouted, come on, Teacher Lu, do you still recognize me and see who I am?" Lao Lu said, "I know you when you are burned to ashes. Aren't you the one?" When Lao Lu said this, he became naughty, "Aren't you Andy Lao?" Lu Ligan laughed loudly, he said, yes, I am Andy Lao, Huazai." Huazai was run over by a tank, Zhang Chen said, and everyone else laughed. Zhang Chen and Lao Lu said, "Hello, uncle." Old Lu chuckled, "Hello, Zhang Chen." Lu Yun scolded on the side, "You haven't thanked them yet." They received the call from the hospital in Nanjing, drove to Chongqing overnight, and sent you here from Chongqing. By the way, why didn't you even bring my business card, just with the Pole's business card?" Lao Lu smiled and did not answer. He looked at Lu Ligan and made a face at him. When Lu Yun and the others went to the dean's office and only Lu Ligan was left beside the bed, who volunteered to stay here and watch, Lao Lu hurriedly asked, "I just remember that I was in the hotel at the end. Did I make a fool of myself?" "What do you think, Teacher Lu?" Lu Ligan said with a smile, "You fainted with your butt naked? It's a good thing you didn't scare that little girl to death." Old Lu panicked and asked quickly, "Does Xiaoun know about this?" Lu Ligan shook his head and said, "When Lu Yun arrived, you were already in the hospital, wearing a hospital gown. We said you fainted while dancing in the square." Lao Lu took a long breath and said, it's okay. Lu Ligan almost laughed. "What's the big deal? Lu Yun didn't know you were belly dancing in the hotel, but that big bag of steel and erections was caught in one act. Does she need to know anything else?" Lu Ligan did not tell Lao Lu about the vest bag, but said to Lao Lu, "How about it, Teacher Lu, get well soon. The girls in Hangzhou are also very beautiful. When you are well and can return to the battlefield, I will take you to fight for 300 rounds with the majestic old Huangzhou." Lao Lu chuckled. By the way, is that old gun still good? Lu Ligan asked. Old Lu grimaced and said to Lu Ligan, they have shrunk and are only as big as peanuts. Lu Ligan laughed and said, this is integrated with your body. When your body recovers, the thing will recover naturally. Don't worry. Old Lu nodded repeatedly. The two were chatting lively, and Lao Chen walked in and asked, Teacher Lu, what food do you want to eat? Without thinking, Lao Lu said, Mapo tofu. What about you? Lao Chen asked Lu Ligan, and Lu Ligan said, don't worry about us, I'll just beat you and Teacher Lu. Old Chen agreed, and he said to Old Lu, Teacher Lu, I'm going to get some food, and you have a good chat with your son-in-law. Old Lu laughed, and when Old Chen went out, he asked Lu Ligan, by the way, why are you not my son-in-law? Almost, Lu Ligan smiled. It was really close. If Lu Yun had not left when they were in Haikan, but Huang Meili had left, Lu Ligan felt that he and Lu Yun would definitely continue, and he didn't know whether he would eventually become Teacher Liu's son-in-law. But his relationship with Lu Yun will definitely not come to an abrupt end like that. Thank you Brokeback Mountain for the reward of 2 fishes. Thank you to Wang Konghua, Wang San Tung, On the Road to a Nation, Captain Jim, Feng Konghu 1974, Kong Kong Pan Pan, Zhao 1017, Don't Take It Too Seriously, Lao Shenza Sang, Book Friends 202203241858433375, Book Friends 1608242103385221 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2284. The next time Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan went to Lao Liu's ward, they found that there was an extra bed in the ward. Zhang Chen asked, Uncle, has a new patient been admitted? No, it's me. Lao Chen came out of the bathroom with a freshly rinsed chamber pot in his hand. Hearing Zhang Chen's questions, Lao Chen said to them, Teacher Lu said that I was not comfortable sleeping on the recliner, so I had to add an extra bed in the hospital for me to sleep on. Haha, Teacher Lu told the doctor that if there would be extra money for an extra bed, he would pay for it. The dean called over, and finally agreed to add an extra bed here. Lao Chen stuffed the chamber pot under Lao Liu's bed, and then sighed, in the whole hospital, I am the first nurse to have a bed to sleep at night. I really want to thank Teacher Lu. It's all about formalism, Lao Lu said. What's the difference between putting a recliner in the room and putting an extra bed? Only when the nursing staff are rested and energetic can they serve our patients better. I've never starting from egoism. Good prophet, Lu Ligan smiled and said, how about it, can you walk now? It's okay to walk slowly, Lao Lu said. Okay, let's go then, Lu Ligan said to Lao Lu. Where to go? Old Lu asked. Lu Ligan smiled and said, you have been lying on the hospital bed for so long and you don't miss hot pot at all? Didn't a bird come out of your mouth? Lao Lu also laughed, and while laughing, he got off the bed. He said, I didn't want to, but as soon as you said it, I thought about it. I wanted to die, and a wild goose faded out of my mouth. Come on, we're just here to take you to Sichuan Taste, Lu Ligan said. Zhang Chen told Lao Chen that Master Chen would also go with him. Lao Chen hesitated and said yes, I would take advantage of Master Lu. The 4 of them walked to the parking lot. Lao Chen helped Lao Lu. Lao Lu recovered really quickly. He tried to push Lao Chen away and stubbornly refused to be supported. He also wanted to speed up and walk forward. Lao Chen shouted urgently. Slow down, Teacher Lu. Zhang Chen was also advising from the side, Uncle, safety comes first. If you fall, we and Lu Yun will have no way to explain. Lu Ligan said, Teacher Lu, we are taking you to eat hot pot behind Lu Yun's back. Don't harm us. After hearing what they said, Lao Lu stopped struggling and let Lao Chen support him. Lu Yun and Xiao Fang went to the United States together. Before leaving, she handed over her father to Zhang Chen and told him, if you have time, go and see him. I am worried that he will escape and sneak back to Chongqing. Zhang Chen accepted. On the way here, Lu Ligan and Zhang Chen said that to save a person, you need to save a stomach. This medicine is not as good as a food supplement. We took old Lu out to eat. If he can eat and run, he will be fine. He will be happy every day. I don't want to go back to Chongqing. Zhang Chen thought this was a good idea. Even a good person would get sick if he was locked up in that ward every day. He should be taken out for a walk. The two of them agreed to take him out to eat hot pot. The four of them arrived at Sichuan Food View and asked for a private room. Zhang Chen and Lao Lu said, Uncle, you can order whatever you want. Lao Lu was not polite and ordered a lot of dishes. He told Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan that it had been a long time since he had hot pot. He wanted to eat every dish and was so greedy. Lao Chen didn't like spicy food very much, so they ordered a Mandarin duck pot. Lu Ligan also accompanied the two of them and drank a bottle of Wulianjai. Zhang Chen had to drive and only drank drinks. This meal made Lao Lu and Lao Chen very excited. Lao Lu said that he didn't expect the Sichuan hot pot made by Hangzhou people to be so delicious. Lao Chen said that he had never been to such a high-end hotel before. I have never drunk such high-end wine. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan both said, just be happy and we will come back tomorrow. In the next few days, Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan took them to Haidai Lao, Lu Yishao, Kinma Hot Pot and Huoyan Hot Pot. After eating, Lao Chen learned how to eat spicy food. He didn't need to order the Yuanyang hot pot anymore and just had it. A red pot. After finishing the hot pot, Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan took them back. They parked the car in the parking lot and met the director of the rehabilitation hospital on the way back to the ward. Lao Chen helped Lao Lu back to the ward. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan stopped. Three people stood there chatting. The dean asked them, I heard that you take teacher Lu out to restaurants every day. If Zhang Chen is right, will it have any impact? It's okay, the dean said, it's a good thing to be able to eat, as long as you don't eat spicy food. In one sentence, Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan were silenced. The food they brought Lao Lu to eat every day these days was spicy. Next, they adjusted the direction and took them out again, to Tuxianjiayuan, Luweilu, Tianxiang Tower and Zhongshenji. When they went to Tuxianjiayuan, Zhang Chen and Lao Lu said, Uncle, when you arrive in Hangzhou, you won't be able to reach me. I wanted to go to the hotel to have a look. Lao Lu quickly said, I want to go, I want to go. When ordering, Lao Lu no longer made the decision. Lao Lu looked at the menu and wanted to order something spicy. Zhang Chen said, this is not our special dish, it is not as good as that one. As a result, he ordered a table full of dishes that were not spicy at all. Fortunately, even though it was not spicy, Lao Lu and Lao Chen both ate it and praised it, saying it was delicious, delicious, so delicious. Went to the hotel outside Luweilu to wait for the hotel. Lao Lu wanted to order some spicy food. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan said that this is not a Hangzhou specialty. When we get here, we should eat Hangzhou specialties. Finally, they simply told Lao Lu that Hangzhou people in the city don't like spicy food, so the characteristic Hangzhou dishes are all not spicy. If you want to eat spicy food, we will go to eat hot pot in a few days. Only then did Lao Lu coax him over. Lu Ligan suggested that he should take teacher Lu to a KTV. Girls are the best aphrodisiacs for middle-aged and elderly men, Lu Ligan said. As a result, he was scolded by Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen said, if old Lu fainted when we went to the hotel to eat, we had to explain to Lu Yun that he was greedy and took him to eat. When we went to the KTV, he saw a girl. When he got excited and passed out, how else can we explain it? Why is he so greedy? Lu Ligan thought about what Zhang Chen said and gave up the idea. Fortunately, teacher Liu's peanuts have probably not grown up yet. What he has shown so far is that he is more interested in eating them than girls. Night after night, we drank and exchanged glasses, and the time passed quickly. Lu Yun and Xiao Fang were coming back. Lu Ligan and Lao Lu said that if Lu Yun is coming back tomorrow, we can't take you out again. Lao Lu asked, "Are you still afraid of her?" Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan nodded repeatedly, saying they were afraid. Lao Lu was filled with regret and muttered, "Why did you come back after being away for so many days?" Zhang Chen said to him, "It doesn't matter. Lu Yun often travels on business anyway. We will take you with her next time she goes out." Lu Yun returned to Hangzhou and found that her father had not only gained weight, but was also in surprisingly good condition. He could now move around freely without Lao Chen's support. When he saw Lu Yun, Lao Lu told her that he wanted to be discharged from the hospital and return to Chongqing. "Don't even think about it," Lu Yun said. "If you go back to Chongqing alone and something unexpected happens and you forget to bring your contact person's business card, there won't even be anyone to report the news. Take it, I will definitely take your business card and the Pole's business card with me," old Lu said. "What's the use of carrying it with you? Didn't you see that it's shown in newspapers and TV now that the old man fell to the ground and others didn't even dare to help him for fear of being blackmailed? The last time you met a kind-hearted person, not only I called the police and called 120. The doctor told me that fortunately you were sent to the hospital in time. Don't expect such kind people to encounter you every time," Lu Yun said. "Then I can't stay in the hospital forever," old Lu shouted. "This is a rehabilitation hospital, similar to a nursing home. You don't see anyone here. They have been living here for 5 or 6 years since the hospital was built. It's them. Anyway, I don't like it here. I want to get out," Lao Lu said stubbornly. Lu Yun also feels that living here for a long time is not an option. It's not that the conditions here are not good, but that the people here are all elderly people who have either this disease or that disease. Then this week, so-and-so left, and next time so-and-so passed away again last week. Such news is a heavy psychological pressure on the old people living here. In an environment that is lifeless and lifeless, it is impossible for a person to have a normal state of mind. Lu Yun feels that leaving her father here for a long time is like abandoning him. But where can her father go? He definitely can't go back to Chongqing. He can only follow her in Hangzhou. In Hangzhou, the best choice is of course to live with her. Her house is big enough and there are many empty rooms. But Lu Yun felt sick when she thought of the aphrodisiacs in the waistcoat bag. She didn't want her father to buy these things secretly home. She didn't even want her father to bring some shady woman home. After living alone for a long time, Lu Yun would naturally develop misophobia, both physically and psychologically. Lu Yun thought to herself that the best way was to see if there was a suitable second-hand house in the community where she lived, preferably on the first floor, so that she could go there every day and take a look without disturbing each other. Lu Yun softened her tone and said to her father, "You probably don't want to live with me without freedom, right?" When talking about freedom, Lu Yun even emphasized her tone. She thought of that vest bag again, as if freedom was that vest bag. Lao Lu nodded. Lu Yun said, "Well, I'll buy you a house. It's best if it's in my community. You live alone. This way it's convenient for you to call me when something happens. I'm going to look for this house. If I find it, I'll return it if it needs to be transferred. If it's rough, it still needs to be renovated. Even if it's renovated, it still needs to be renovated. This all takes time. I'll hurry up and you can just hold on here, okay?" For this reason, Lao Lu had no choice but to nod and agree. Just wait, the days are long anyway. Lu Yun and Xiaofang went to the United States this time for the listing of Diet Man and Woman. They have secured sponsors and underwriters, as well as law firms, accountants, and audit firms, and have also contacted several companies interested in purchasing Diet Man and Woman. Traders from the Stock Pension Fund and the New York City Police Pension Fund met and communicated. After returning to China, preparations for the launch of Diet Men and Women were officially launched. The senior flew to Hangzhou from Hong Kong. In the evening, Zhang Chen and Xiaofang invited him to dinner at the Tuxianjiayuan Hotel. The senior came this time for the purpose of eating men and women, and Lu Yun also participated. The four people sat down in the box, and the senior asked, "Is Zhang Xiangbei in Hangzhou? If so, can you invite him to come with you? Business cannot be done without mercy." The senior laughed after saying this. Zhang Chen told the senior that Zhang Xiangbei was in Hainan now and that he had gone to Hainan to raise cattle. The senior heard that Zhang Xiangbei went to Hainan to raise cattle and was very interested. He made a video call with Zhang Xiangbei on the spot. When they were preparing to have dinner in the box, it was the best time for Zhang Xiangbei and the others to work. The sun had gone down and the weather was bad. It's getting cooler, but it's not dark yet. Zhang Xiangbei and the others are still at the construction site. The senior said to Zhang Xiangbei, "It's interesting, Zhang Xiangbei. Nowadays, people who have made money in China are rushing to France to buy wineries. I didn't expect you to go to Hainan to buy a ranch." Zhang Xiangbei laughed and said, "I don't like drinking wine, so what kind of winery do I want? But I like eating beef, so is it reasonable to raise cattle?" The senior said, "Yes, when your ranch is ready to be officially opened, remember to notify me and I will go to Hainan to have a look." Zhang Xiangbei said yes and it was settled. After putting down the phone, the senior asked Zhang Chen and Xiaofang, "Are you very proud?" Zhang Chen asked, "What are you proud of?" "I've seen a lot of second-generation rich people, but there are very few like Zhang Xiangbei," the senior said. "My godson, he is a weirdo," Lu Yun said, and everyone laughed. Lu Yun's phone rang. She took a look and said to Zhang Chen, "Xiaofang, it's strange, the director of the rehabilitation hospital, why are you looking for me at this time?" "You answer it," Zhang Chen said. Lu Yun picked up the phone. As soon as the call came through, the dean called out, "Mr. Lu, your father is in danger now and needs to be rescued." "Ah," Lu Yun was shocked, her face suddenly turned pale, and she asked, "What's going on?" "Are you in Hangzhou?" the dean asked. "Here," Lu Yun said. "Come over right away." Lu Yun said, "Okay." "By the way, Mr. Lu, does your father need to be sent to the ICU? Does he need to be intubated? If necessary, please use all means to save her at all costs," Lu Yun said. "Okay, I understand, Mr. Lu, can you sign the consent form later? Otherwise, the doctor will not dare to do anything now." "Okay, Dean, I'll sign it, I'll definitely sign it, you rescue people first." Lu Yun hung up the phone, stood up and said to her senior, "I'm sorry, my father is critically ill and I have to rush over immediately." "I'll go with you," Zhang Chen said. The senior also stood up and said, "Let's go together. When can we not eat?" The four people left the box in a hurry. They rushed to the rehabilitation hospital. Lao Lu had been sent to the ICU and a tube had been inserted into his mouth. Lao Chen was waiting anxiously at the door of the ICU. When he saw them arriving, he quickly waved to them and told them that Mr. Lu was fine just now. Suddenly, that won't work. Before Lu Yun had time to listen to Lao Chen's explanation, she broke into the ICU. Zhang Chen, Xiaofang, and the others also followed. The nurse inside came to greet her. Just as she was about to say something, the director raised his hand and stopped her. The dean and Lu Yun said, "The patient's current condition is very bad. I don't know if he can survive it. We have used all the methods we should use. Mr. Lu, if you have anything to say, just go and talk to your father. Lu Yun's eyes turned red as soon as she heard this. She walked to the bedside and held her father's hand where the transfusion was being transfused. Her father's hand was trembling in her hand. Although Lao Lu was intubated and unable to speak, he was different from before. He looked very conscious. He looked at Lu Yun with moist eyes and his head shook slightly, as if he had something to say to Lu Yun. Lu Yun wondered in her mind what her father wanted to say. She thought of it, leaned close to her father's ear and said, "Even if the book you wrote is not finished, I will help you publish it." The father continued to shake his head. That was obviously not what he cared about. "I have already taken a fancy to a house and will go talk to the landlord tomorrow," Lu Yun added. My father still shook his head, "Not yet." What could that be? Lu Yun's heart trembled. She thought of the 2 photo albums, the photos that had been taken away, and recalled that her father once told her that when her mother was alive, he had never even played a good card, as long as it was a good card. Her mother would make him stand up while she sat down to beat him. Lu Yun asked, "Don't you want to go back to Chongqing and be buried with my mother?" Lu Yun clearly heard a grunt from her father's throat where the tube was inserted, like a long sigh. His head stopped shaking and his eyes closed. The original curves of the monitoring instruments on the side jumped a bit, and then turned into straight lines. Thank you to Moonless Sky, Brokeback Mountain, and 2 Fish for the rewards. Thank you Liao Hanming, Ba Liang, Daos Hung 123, Nevin Moore, East Long 888, Zongkai 727, Book Friends 201802241122201712, Book Friends 12040418595025 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2285. The 2 nurses got busy. They took the cardiopulmonary resuscitation machine. One of them turned old Liu's body over and turned it slightly sideways. The other inserted the resuscitation board from old Liu's back. This one released old Liu. Let him lie flat on the resuscitation board, and the other person put the compression head on Lao Liu's chest, carefully avoiding the electrode patches of the ECG monitor. This one pulled out the intubation tube from Lao Liu's mouth and covered Lao Liu's mouth and nose with a breathing mask. The other one was operating on the operating panel of the cardiopulmonary resuscitation machine. Their movements were very skillful and they cooperated tacitly. Dozens of Lao Lu was given a resuscitation machine in seconds. Put on the respirator mask, one nurse and another whispered, "Press." With one finger, the cardiopulmonary resuscitation machine started to work, and the compression head was pressed again and again. Whether it can restore a life, it is now up to a miracle. Lu Yun stared intently at the electrocardiogram monitor next to the hospital bed. She saw the 3 straight lines on the left side of the screen, as if they were drawn with a pen on them. They were motionless, and their lives were hanging by a thread. It seemed that people's lives were, it really hangs on these 3 lines. Even if there is a slight fluctuation in these 3 lines, hope will flash. The row of numbers on the right side of the display became smaller and smaller, and finally the other numbers all turned to 0. Only the blood oxygen saturation index stopped at 15, which showed that there was no oxygen left in the blood. Meaning, a normal person's blood oxygen saturation is generally above 978%. If the blood oxygen saturation reaches over 80, the red number on the display will turn yellow. When it reaches 70, the monitor will start to sound a red alarm. The monitor made a rapid beep, beep, beep alarm sound, but Lu Yun felt that she could no longer hear her father's footsteps. Lu Yun's vision was blurred. She saw the small street where she lived in her childhood. Her father held her hand. When she passed the handmade shop, he would always lower his head and ask her if she was hungry. After passing the handmade shop, there was a shop. There is an arc on the slope. At the turning point, there is a yellow jujube tree with scattered branches and leaves. There are always halls who like to run downhill from uphill, and there are halls who will sit on a cart made of a few wooden boards and 4 bearings and slide down the slope. When they reach the corner, they can't make it in time. When you turn a corner, someone will scream and bump into the yellow jujube tree. When she got here, her father would always pick her up to keep her away from those treasures. After finishing her homework every day, it was also the time when her father was about to come back. Lu Yun would go downstairs, stand on the curb and look over there. The bus stop was on the top of the slope. Lu Yun would see her father carrying a bag in his hand. Turn around from the yellow ju tree. Lu Yun's vision was blurred. She wanted to see her father's face clearly, but she couldn't. She pricked up her ears, trying to hear her father's voice, but all she heard was the beep sound of the monitor, and Lu Yun couldn't hear clearly what the nurses and doctors were saying, Xiaofang and Zhang Chen, and the dean talking to him. Lu Yun tried hard, but she just couldn't hear her father's footsteps or voice. She felt that her father was not walking towards her, but was walking up the slope. Her father's figure disappeared under the yellow ju tree. She could no longer see her father. The miracle did not happen. The doctor pressed his fingers on the back of a nurse twice. The nurse turned her head and shook her head. The doctor nodded. The nurse reached out and pressed the button of the cardiopulmonary resuscitation machine. The machine stopped working and the 2 people put it on. Remove the mask, press the head back into place, and remove the CPR machine. The doctor took the stethoscope, put it on Lao Liu's chest, listened, and whispered to the nurse. The heart sounds disappeared. Then he took out a pen-shaped flashlight with his right hand from the chest pocket of his white coat, and used the thumb of his left hand, and he opened Lao Liu's right eye with his index finger, shook the flashlight back and forth, then opened his left eye, repeated it, and muttered. The pupils on both sides are dilated and the light response disappears. The doctor put the pen flashlight back into the pocket of his white coat, raised his wrist to look at his watch, and then turned to look at the dean. The dean nodded and the doctor said, "Time of death, 2035. The 2 nurses were busy again. They untied Lao Liu's hospital gown and removed the red electrode pad at the right subclavian finger, the yellow electrode pad at the midpoint of the 2 nipples, and the intersection of the left 5th rib and the left axillary line. Remove the black electrode pad and pull out the infusion needle on your right wrist." Then, they pushed all the instruments and equipment aside, leaving only a lone hospital bed there, with Lao Lu lying on the bed with his clothes open. A nurse called out the door, "Old Chen." Lao Chen walked in from outside, holding a plastic wash basin in one hand and a new towel on his shoulder. In the other hand, he held a vest bag containing Lao Liu's clothes. Old Lu left in such a hurry that he didn't even have time to prepare his shroud. The clothes in the bag were bought by Lu Yun after he arrived in Hangzhou. They were all Armani inside and out, and they were also old Liu's favorite. When they went out to eat, Lao Lu always likes to wear them. The doctor went to his office next door, and the nurse also went to the duty room with beds next door. The dean and Lu Yun said, "Should we go outside first?" Lu Yun stood there blankly, saying nothing. Zhang Chen and Xiaofang said, "You accompany Lu Yun outside first, and I'll help Master Chen." Xiaofang said yes. She put her arm around Lu Yun's shoulders and walked out with her senior. Old Chen brought a basin of warm water. Zhang Chen and he took off old Liu's hospital gown. Old Chen twisted a towel and wiped old Liu's face, even behind his ears carefully, and muttered, "Teacher Lu, go in peace, my daughter has been delivered as well." Lao Chen used cotton wool, rolled it into balls, and stuffed them into Lao Liu's nostrils and ear holes. Then, Lao Chen twisted another towel in the basin and began to carefully wipe Lao Liu's body, neck, armpits, and crotch. Zhang Chen saw that in the gray-white fur, Lao Liu's guy had already completely shrunken to the point of being invisible. "Master Zhang, Please help me turn Teacher Lu over, Lao Chen and Zhang Chen said. Zhang Chen walked to the side of the hospital bed and turned Lao Liu's body sideways. Lao Chen made another ball of cotton wool and stuffed it into Lao Liu's asshole. Then he wiped his back with a towel. After wiping, the two of them switched position. Zhang Chen turned Lao Lu to the other side, and Lao Chen continued to wipe. The body has been wiped clean. At this time, Lao Liu's body is cold, colder than cold. Cold can increase or decrease with the change of the outside temperature. The coldness of the corpse is fixed, that is, cold is fixed. In the cold. Not long after his death, Lao Liu's limbs were still very soft. Zhang Chen and Lao Chen helped him put on his shorts, socks, trousers, and shirt. They tucked the hem of the shirt into his trousers and fastened his belt. Then Zhang Chen helped him. He sat up, and Lao Chen put on his outer suit, put it down, and then put on his black Gucci leather shoes with hidden patterns. Zhang Chen tied his shoelaces, looked at them, and felt that the two bows were not symmetrical enough, so he untied them and tied them again before he was satisfied. The shoes have not been worn a few times, that is, they were worn when he went out to eat with Zhang Chen and Lu Lipol. When he was in the hospital, Lao Lu only wore slippers. The leather shoes still looked brand new. Lao Chen wiped them off with a towel. Removed some dust from the solace of the shoes. After getting dressed, the two people arranged Lao Lu neatly on the hospital bed. Lao Lu lay there with his back. Lao Chen straightened his head on the pillow, and stretched the sheets under his body with his hands to mess up the bed sheets. The sheets are neatly made. Next, Lao Lu will lie here quietly, waiting for the funeral home's car to arrive. Lao Chen threw the towel on the bed frame into the wash basin and took the wash basin to the bathroom. When he came back, he looked at Lao Lu, who was lying there quietly, and felt that he was already decent. He said to Zhang Chen, "Okay, Master Zhang, let them come in and take another look." Zhang Chen walked to the door of the ICU and saw Lu Ligan and Tan Shahan arriving. Zhang Chen said to them, "Okay, come in." The people standing in the corridor outside came in. Tan Shahan and Xiaofang supported Lu Yun one by one. Xiaofang also used tissue to wipe the tears from the corners of Lu Yun's eyes. Everyone gathered around the bed. After getting dressed, old Lu looked dignified. Lu Ligan shouted, "Teacher Lu, you are a bit uninterested. You left without even saying hello. The hairy crabs from Yangcheng Lake are on the market. The male crabs at this time are thick and fat. I even said that I would take you to eat them in the next few days." There seemed to be a smile on Lao Liu's lips, and he lay there indifferently. Too fast, Teacher Lu walked too fast. Only then did Lao Chen have time and opportunity to tell them more things. Lao Chen said, "It was fine when we were about to eat dinner. I asked him what he wanted to eat. Teacher Lu also told me that he wanted to eat twice-cooked pork with more spicy food. I went to the cafeteria to buy twice-cooked pork and came back and fed him a bite. He also said the chefs here are definitely not from Sichuan and Chongqing. They are not from Sichuan and Chongqing. They cannot make the taste of twice-cooked pork." He was sitting on the chair and said he was a little tired. I fed him, and after taking 2 bites, he told me, I can't do it anymore, Lao Chen, I can't sit still anymore." He slid down, and I quickly put the bowl away, hugged him, and shouted loudly to the fellow villagers next door. The fellow villagers came in and saw him, called the doctor, and he was sent here. Zhang Chen and the others were silent as they listened. It seemed that Lao Lu was about to leave as suddenly as he woke up suddenly. "Then go ahead." They waited at the hospital for more than an hour. The funeral home's car arrived and transferred Lao Lu to the funeral home. During this process, Lu Yun just shed tears silently and never cried out. After seeing off the funeral home's car, everyone walked to the parking lot. The seniors went to sit in Lu Ligan and Tan Shahan's car. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan said, "Go directly to Tuxianjia Yuan in Xiasha. We haven't had dinner yet. The three people got in the car. Zhang Chen drove in the front, and Lu Yun and Xiaofang sat in the back seat. The car started, drove out of the parking lot, and then out of the gate of the rehabilitation hospital. Lu Yun turned around and saw that the hospital was getting farther and farther away. The group of lights quickly receded toward the back. Lu Yun's body trembled, and she suddenly felt like a dream. When she woke up, she shouted loudly, "Xiaofang, Xiaofang, I have become an orphan." Lu Yun finally cried wow loudly. Thank you book friend 854910 for the reward of 2 fishes. Thank you to Guandian Electrical and Mechanical, HMZSM, Romantic Cherry Blossoms for reading books, Luoluo Wuchen One Flower One World, Forgot Password and Start Again, LW. Norvi, Zhongxing Ming Chen, On the Road to a Nation, Fat Brother, Lemon Stone Spring Hodgepodge, Book Friends 20180224112201712 for their monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2286. Old Liu's body was hidden in the freezer of the funeral home. Originally, according to Lu Yun's wish, she would be cremated today to let this matter go over as soon as possible. She had already cried a lot about it. She didn't want to be immersed in sadness for a long time. She needed to come out as soon as possible, she thought. Her father must also hope that she can be well. Zhang Chen told her, no, there has not been 24 hours since last night, and they have to wait for 24 hours to pass. Lu Yun asked him why, but Zhang Chen couldn't explain why. Tan Shahen said on the side that there seems to be a saying that after a person dies, it must wait 24 hours before being cremated. Doesn't it mean that the bones are not cold? What should you do before the bones are cold? It's always bad. Lu Yun smiled bitterly and said, I don't believe this. I have traveled to so many places in the world and experienced many funerals. The customs in each place are different. If everyone believed it, people might as well not die. After saying that, she even thought it was funny. She could decide whether a person would die or not. The things that happened after death were all done by the living people. This sense of ritual also comforted the living people, including those who had treated them in the past. For people who were very mean to the deceased, crying in sorrow in front of the deceased is probably a different kind of confession. Xiaofang and Lu Yun said, Sister Lu Yun, there is no rush, it is better to discuss the funeral arrangements first. It doesn't make much difference to cremate them one day later and one day earlier. Lu Yun thought about the truth of what she said, so she did not stubbornly insist on being cremated today. Lu Yun, have you thought about it? Do you really want to find a cemetery for your father in Hangzhou? Tan Shahen asked. If you have already decided, I will make arrangements immediately. Lu Yun nodded. She said that I didn't even think about it. It was my father who made the decision himself. Zhang Chen was also present last night. Zhang Chen asked, you really don't want to send him back to Chongqing and bury him next to your mother? My dad doesn't want to go back, so I listened to him. This is also his last wish, Lu Yun said. Actually, there is another way to move your mother here, Lu Ligan said. Lu Yun smiled bitterly, that's not the same thing. Forget it, spare my father. After my mother died, he returned to his own life. It should be said that the last few years were the most relaxed and happiest days for him. Thinking of this, I feel a little relieved and understand him. Lu Yun paused, looked at Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan and said, I have thought about it. The reason why my father is like that is probably because he is taking revenge on my mother. He told me that when my mother was alive, he was very aggrieved and never played a good card once. Finally, now that he's free, why shouldn't he be arrogant? Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan knew that what Lu Yun said would be like that, referring to the vest bag, and it was difficult for them to accept this. Is there anyone in Chongqing who needs to be called? Zhang Chen changed the subject. Lu Yun shook her head and said, no, I don't have many relatives on my mother's side. My mother has offended all the relatives on my father's side. They have stopped interacting with each other for a long time. There is no need to notify. Even if I want to, I won't know where they are. Where is your dad at school? Xiao Fang asked. Lu Yun thought for a while and said, let's forget it. After so many years of retirement, those in the school now probably don't know who he is. Why bother to let them remember him? I don't need anyone to say condolences to me if it changes smoothly. What about the memorial service? Zhang Chen asked. Lu Yun said, no more, we are the only people who know him in Hangzhou. That's not okay. Even the few of us need to say goodbye properly. Lu Ligan interrupted Lu Yun. Lu Yun, we can't take you as the starting point and think about everything from your perspective. Teacher Lu also needs to treat her with dignity. Walk. What does it mean to leave with dignity? Lu Yun asked Lu Ligan. No discussion, let's not discuss this issue. Lu Lepol waved his hand and said, I think you should leave this matter alone and let's make arrangements. Zhang Chen and Lu Yun said, Gangzi is right, Lu Yun, you don't have to worry about this matter. Tan Shahen will implement the cemetery. Once it is completed, you can go and see if the location is suitable. We will arrange the funeral parlor. Lu Yun smiled miserably, okay, I have a bad headache, thank you. Tan Shahen and Xiao Fang were still there accompanying Lu Yun. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan left Lu Yun's home and sat in the car. Zhang Chen asked Lu Ligan, how do you want to arrange it? If I were to arrange it, I think it would be best to arrange 100 young ladies to perform a striptease around old Lu. Old Lu would be very happy, and he might even sit up immediately. Lu Ligan said, then, these ladies lined up in 2 rows, sang A Good Man Has a Safe Life, and bid farewell to Lao Lu as he slowly walked to the incinerator. Go away and be more serious, Zhang Chen scolded. I'm very serious. Isn't it the most serious thing to arrange something that old Lu likes? Lu Ligan asked. Yeah, well, that's not the most serious thing, but the most sensational thing. Old Lu will probably be dragged around the streets by people online, Zhang Chen sneered. Okay, I think the school still needs to notify. Lu Ligan became serious and said, you haven't seen that Lao Lu always carries his original work permit and senior teacher's professional title certificate with him wherever he goes, which shows that he is still very good. Those who value this. Zhang Chen thought it made sense, and said, then don't decide the time of cremation yet. In this way, there is no need to call. I will directly ask Suyu to go to their school and try to get someone from their school to come and give Lao Lu in conclusion. Lu Ligan said okay, then we will share their time. Zhang Chen immediately called Suyu, the general manager of the Chongqing branch of catering men and women, and told him this. Suyu asked clearly about the name of the school and said to Zhang Chen, Mr. Zhang, I will go there right now. You wait for my call. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan returned to Zhang Chen's office and sat down. Zhang Chen felt quite emotional. He said, I don't know what's going on now. It seems that we are encountering more and more things like life and death. Too much means we are getting old, Lu Ligan said. When we were as old as Bai Bei, we were running around all over the world. We felt like we were still fresh and tender flowers. How could we think about birth, old age, illness, and death? Even when things like this happen, there are adults at home, and it's up to them to deal with it, and it's not our turn. Yes, now we are both adults and old people, Zhang Chen said. The two of them were sitting and smoking a cigarette. Suyu called and he said to Zhang Chen, Mr. Zhang, I am in the principal's office of Teacher Liu's school. The school has decided to send a vice principal to Hangzhou to attend Teacher Liu's memorial service and deliver a speech. They want to ask when the memorial service will be scheduled. Zhang Chen looked up at Lu Ligan. Lu Ligan also heard Suyu's call. He thought for a while and said, the day after tomorrow, there will be a memorial service the day after tomorrow. Suyu, you can give them my or Mr. Zhang's number, book the flight, and ask them to tell us the flight number. We will send someone to pick you up at the airport. Suyu said yes, I will tell them. Teacher Liu's memorial service was scheduled for the day after tomorrow. Zhang Chen called Zhang Xiangbei and said to Zhang Xiangbei, your godmother's father is gone and there will be a memorial service the day after tomorrow. Zhang Xiangbei, no matter how important it is, you will come back and attend the memorial service and comfort your godmother. Zhang Xiangbei said on the other end of the phone, yes, I will definitely come back, and I will call my godmother now. Zhang Chen and Zhang Xiangbei were on the phone, and what was swirling in their minds was Lu Yun's heart-wrenching cry while sitting in the back seat of the car last night. He wanted to tell Lu Yun that she was not alone. Lu Yun originally planned to keep everything simple for Lao Liu's funeral, but unexpectedly many people came. The memorial service was scheduled to be held in the largest farewell hall of the funeral home. Lu Yun's friends in Haikan, Lao Tan, and Chu Tianlin, Wu Ziyai and Wei Venfang, Xiao Wu and Su Qiaxin, Lin Shuwen and Lao Tang, Zhang Xiangbei and Xiangnan, and the second-rate goods all arrived. Qian Fang and the others also rushed over from Nanjing. Not only did a vice principal come to Lao Liu's old school, but also 3 of Lao Liu's former colleagues came with him. Like Lao Lu, they had retired a long time ago. They heard that Lao Lu had passed away. They also wanted to say goodbye. Suyu bought them air tickets and took them to the airport one by one. The vice principal took out a eulogy and showed it to Lu Yun, saying that it was decided upon by several leaders of their school. As Lu Yun read it, it was full of praise. Lu Yun felt that she did not know Lu Suanren in it at all. He is a model in the education industry, not her father at all, not the always obedient teacher Lu. However, Lu Yun still said to the vice principal, thank you, and thank you to the school leaders. Also attending the memorial service were Lu Yun's colleagues from Shanghai Company's leading investment company, and colleagues from Hangzhou Fanhua Network. Wen Wen and Qian led dozens of anchors to come over in a mighty manner. Everyone was holding up their mobile phones to broadcast live. Turn the funeral home into a live broadcast base. Wu Huan, Ma Lin, and Lu Yun's old subordinates also rushed over. Xiahua was unable to come because he happened to be holding a shareholders meeting of Fuban Financial Holdings in Taipei, so he sent Mang Chao to attend on his behalf. Chen Qiang and Lin Yiyan flew over from Macau, and Sun Ho flew over from Beijing. Lu Yun felt strange when she saw them the day before, and asked, why are you here? Sun Ho said, how could we not come over? Lu Yun, we old classmates, how much time do we still have to be together? Yes, time flies so fast, monkey, it seems like it was just yesterday when you chased Lu Yun. In the blink of an eye, you and I have turned grey, Chen Qiang said, and everyone laughed. Sun Ho's cell phone rang, and he walked away to answer it. After a while, he came back, touched Lu Yun's arm with his cell phone, and said to her, Yangzi. Lu Yun took the phone and walked away. She said hello, and Li Yang's voice sounded on the other end of the phone. Li Yang said to her, sister, I won't say any words of condolences. I just want to tell you that we are already this age. Sister, you must take care of yourself, okay? Lu Yun choked up and said, okay, I understand, Yangzi, the same goes for you. Thank you book friend 1608242103385521 for the reward. Thank you Prot Stop, Nankaiman 79, and Daos Hung 123 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2287. When Zhang Xiangbei came back this time, he was much darker than when Xiangnan left him from Hainan. Xiangnan looked at him and laughed, and asked, "Why are you so dark?" After the Yongcheng International Street Theater Festival ended, the troupe had a half-month vacation and flew south to Hainan. Every day, together with Zhang Xiangbei and the others, they haunted the mountain valley in Kayangshong. Of all the people, the others the more they tan, the darker they get. Only Xiang Evian and Xiang Nan can't tan no matter how much they are exposed to the sun. Their skin will become red from the sun, just like a cooked lobster. It will peel off in the sun, but it will not be tanned. It doesn't matter how many men there are, just be black. Zhou Ruyi looked very depressed and bitter. With a sullen face, Xiang Nan said to Evian, "You guys, this is too bullying. Why am I the only one who will be sunburned into a black coal?" "No," Zhang Xiangbei interjected from the side, "this is just right for you. Even if you have green hair, it's so dark that you can't see it." The other people laughed. Zhou Ruyi put her hands on her hips, glared at Zhang Xiangbei, and cursed, "Believe it or not, I sold Xiangnan." Zhang Xiangbei said, "Okay, you can sell it to me." I got a slap on the butt right away, but it wasn't Zhou Ruyi, but Xiang Nan. In fact, this is no longer surprising. When Zhang Xiangbei was still studying at Yale, he returned to China to Yongcheng during the summer vacation. Several people went to the countryside to help farmers rob. This was what happened to Zhang Xiangbei and Xiangnan at that time. Zhang Xiangbei was the sun turns into an African, and going south just turns into a cooked shrimp. Zhang Xiangzi also laughed when she saw Zhang Xiangbei. She had not seen Zhang Xiangbei for a longer time than Xiangnan, so she felt stronger. She said, "Bai Bei, you were a little white donkey when you went out, but now you are a little black donkey." After dinner, Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan carried Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqin to Misi River for a walk as usual. Zhang Xiangbei followed. When Zhang Xiangzi saw Zhang Xiangbei coming, she patted her father on the head and said, "I'm going to ride a little black donkey, I'm going to ride a little black donkey." Zhang Chen looked around, wondering what kind of donkey was there. Zhang Xiangzi pointed at Zhang Xiangbei. Only then did Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan understand that Zhang Xiangzi was going to ride on Zhang Xiangbei's shoulder. Zhang Xiangbei was the little donkey. Black donkey, two people laughing. Zhang Xiangbei returned to Hangzhou and attended Lao Liu's memorial service. He stayed one more day and took a plane to Nanning. Gu Gong and Dingmi Yulai had already driven across the ferry from Hainan and entered Guangxi. Zhang Xiangbei was going to Guangxi to meet them. They then drove from Guangxi to Yunnan, then to Sichuan, from Sichuan to Guizhou, then to Guangxi and Guangdong back to Hainan, and visited the entire southwest region. The more remote the place, the more they need to go this time. The purpose is to find cattle that they think have delicious meat or are large in size. Gu Gong and Zhang Xiangbei said, "In fact, if we find good cattle breeds and breeding cattle in China, use them as our base cattle, and then improve them, the possibility is greater than searching abroad." "Why?" Zhang Xiangbei asked. "In ancient China, the status of cattle has always been very high. When ancient emperors offered sacrifices, cattle were the first of the three animals. Only when there were sacrifices and feasts of cow heads and beef, they were called Tai Lao. Cows were also called Lao cattle and special cattle. Sheep and pigs were called Tai Lao. Less prison. In Kuyuchu it is said that the emperor eats too much food. Cattle, sheep, and hogs are all available. The princes eat cattle, the ministers eat sheep, the officials eat hogs, the scholars eat fish and grilled fish, and the common people eat vegetables. There are strict regulations. Only princes are qualified to eat beef, and scholar bureaucrats can only eat pigs and pigs. Pigs refer to pigs, and pigs refer to piglets. There is also a record in Book of Rights, kingship, princes do not kill cattle without reason, officials do not kill sheep without reason, scholars do not kill dogs and hogs without reason, and common people do not eat precious things without reason. The hierarchy is clear, and cattle are not killed by anyone who wants to. Eat whatever you want. China is an agricultural society, and cattle are an important means of production. Therefore, killing cattle, according to current parlance, means destroying production. In the Qin dynasty, the court clearly ordered that private citizens should not slaughter farm cattle privately. Don't think that only Kobe, Japan, Weijio cattle have ID cards. In fact, in ancient China, every cow also had a household registration and was registered with the government office, although the purpose was different. In the Qin dynasty, cattle could only be slaughtered for meat when they were old or dead. In the Han dynasty, with the widespread promotion of iron plowshares and cattle farming, the importance of cattle became even more apparent. In order to develop agriculture, the imperial court began to impose restrictions on private individuals. The act of slaughtering farm cattle is more stringent. Han law stipulates that young and middle-aged cattle are not allowed to be slaughtered. If someone violates the prohibition, they will be beheaded and the cattle will pay for it with their lives. Even if the cattle are very old and have died normally, if you want to sell the beef, you must first report to the yamen. After the cattle are killed, the hides and tendons will be turned over to the yamen as military supplies. In the Tang dynasty and Song dynasty, cattle were not allowed to be slaughtered regardless of whether they were old, weak, sick, or disabled. Only cattle that died of natural causes or disease could be skinned for meat. Those who slaughtered farm cattle privately were sentenced to 1 year in prison in the Tang dynasty, and in the Yuan dynasty they were punished with a rod. 100. The Ming dynasty would send them to the frontiers for military confinement. The Qing dynasty would fine them, slap them with a blackboard, or exile them according to the severity of the crime. Don't look at those thieves in Water Margin or the bullshit heroes in martial arts novels. As soon as you sit down, you will eat 3 or 5 pounds of beef. In fact, eating beef is not that simple, and it does not form a habit. Beef, it was actually only in recent decades that it became popular on everyone's dining tables, but at this time, it was also the time when foreign beef cattle, such as Angus cattle, were introduced in large quantities. Unlike our country, foreign countries, especially the West, have always had a tradition of eating beef. Therefore, their cattle have been improved countless times and are constantly improved. In comparison, the pedigree of our domestic cattle and bloodline, on the contrary, they are relatively simple and have little chance of being improved. Only when we go to those nooks and crannies can we have a greater chance of discovering good original breeding cattle. Why did Yuan Longping go from Hunan to Hainan and finally find wild rice seeds in Hainan? Because Hunan was developed early, and Huiguang is ripe enough for the whole world. Hunan has no growing land and no soil for wild rice seeds to survive. It was not until July 7 in 2000, Hainan was still very backward and had a lot of uncultivated land, so it was possible to find wild rice seeds here. The principle is the same. Compared with foreign countries, our country may retain more and richer types of cattle. Only by improving and crossbreeding on this basis can we achieve success. If nothing else, let's talk about Dingen. The calf's pedigree must be very pure. As long as we change the feeding method from grass-fed to grain-fed, we can increase its weight and have more fat. Zhang Xiangbei felt that what Gu Gong said made sense. Next, they would start a long journey to find cattle and introduce all the best breeds of cattle in the country to their pasture. This was the foundation. With this foundation, only the scientists and engineers at the institute will be useful. Zhang Xiangbei stayed in Hangzhou for 1 more day. This afternoon, he specially ran to Zhang Chen's office. Zhang Chen was a little surprised when he saw him coming in and asked, "You're looking for me?" Zhang Xiangbei chuckled. "What's the matter?" Zhang Chen asked. Zhang Xiangbei said a little embarrassedly, "I want to talk to you." Zhang Chen was stunned for a moment. "Do you want to talk to me?" In the past, it was too late for Zhang Xiangbei to hide from him. If he asked him anything, he would be unable to do anything with 3 fists. Even if he wanted to talk, he would go to Xiaofang to talk, and would not take the initiative to talk to Zhang Chen. Today, the sun comes out from the west. He actually took the initiative to come and talk to me, haha, which made Zhang Chen feel a little flattered. Zhang Chen thought a lot in his heart, but remained calm on the outside. He nodded slightly and said, "Okay, sit down." Zhang Xiangbei sat down on the sofa. Zhang Chen went to the water dispenser and poured him a glass of water. Zhang Xiangbei stood up quickly, bowed slightly, and said, "Thank you, Dad." Zhang Chen rolled his eyes at him and said, "Are you so polite?" Zhang Xiangbei chuckled. Zhang Chen took his cup, walked over and sat down on the sofa on the side. "Tell me, what's the matter?" Zhang Chen said. Zhang Xiangbei first took out his mobile phone and showed the pictures inside to Zhang Chen. The entire mountain COL was now covered with a green lawn, the cowshed had been built, and the main construction of the visitor center had been completed. The open-air hot spring on the edge of the stream has also been constructed, and the construction of the ripening workshop, slaughtering workshop, office building, research institute, and dormitory on the hillside is in full swing. Zhang Chen nodded while looking at it, and said, "Not bad, the movements are quite fast." "There are so many people." Zhang Xiangbei smiled. Zhang Xiangbei told Zhang Chen that he would go and take a look when he had time to see if there was anything that needed to be adjusted or modified. Zhang Chen agreed and told him, "Wait until I go to Beijing and participate in the autumn auction of your aunt's works. When you come back, you will go to Hainan. By the way, how long will it take you to go out this time?" "It's okay, I can go back at any time." Gu Gong and the others can just continue looking, Zhang Xiangbei said. Zhang Chen said, "Yes, I will give you a call when I get back from Beijing." Zhang Xiangbei then asked many questions about opening a hotel, and Zhang Chen answered them one by one, very carefully. Zhang Xiangbei asked, "Dad, can I record it?" "You've recorded it," Zhang Chen said, laughing in his heart. "Is this too serious?" Zhang Xiangbei turned on the recording function of his mobile phone and recorded everything Zhang Chen said to him. "Dad, there is one more thing that I think is a bit troublesome," Zhang Xiangbei said. Zhang Chen looked at him and almost laughed. "Oops, I really feel a little shameless today." Zhang Chen asked, "What's the matter?" In the early days, Bao Tianbin was busy with things in Hainan. At that time, he was the only one around me. Later, Gu Gong, Xiang Yun, and Fatty all went there. "I understand, it's because the job is difficult to arrange, right?" Zhang Chen asked. "Yes, it turns out that Bao Tianbin has the lowest position in Zai Xianshui. Gu Gong and Xiang Yun all have higher positions than him. Fatty and Zhou Ruyi are several levels higher than him. Now, everyone went to Hainan. You have made Bao Tianbin the general manager. Now these people have become Bao Tianbin's subordinates. You think it is a bit unjustifiable, but you can't adjust Bao Tianbin's position as general manager, right?" Zhang Chen asked. Zhang Xiangbei said, "Right, I'm afraid that everyone has their own thoughts. I see people in your company making adjustments over and over again. It seems that everyone is quite happy. How did you do it?" Zhang Chen listened and nodded. He did not speak to Zhang Xiangbei immediately, but remained silent. He was thinking about how to explain this matter clearly to Zhang Xiangbei. It was rare that this was the first time that he took the initiative to talk to him. He should give him a satisfactory answer. "Thank you, Brokeback Mountain, for the reward of 2 fishes. Thank you for the monthly ticket from the wooden man, who only remembers his original intention and has no future but empty and broken dreams. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening, everyone." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2288. Zhang Xiangbei, first of all, you have to think clearly. Zaixian Shui is Zaixian Shui, and the North-South Agricultural Development Company is the North-South Agricultural Development Company. These are two companies that have no boundaries with each other. For the North-South Agricultural Development Company, all the people who come in later are the same, and there is no need to consider what position they held in the original unit. For example, would it be okay if a vice president of JD.com applied for the position of your workshop director? He has a higher position in JD.com than Bao Tianbin in Zaixian Shui. Would you still have such an idea? Zhang Chen asked Zhang Xiangbei, who smiled and said, "That's definitely not the case. I just feel strange why the vice president of JD.com would come to this mountain valley to apply for the job of workshop director." Yes, then Zhou Ruyi and Sun Xiangyang, the CMO and CPO of Zaixian Shui, why did they go to Hainan to become CEOs? Zhang Chen asked. Zhang Xiangbei shook his head, "That's not what they care about." "They don't care, why do you care?" Zhang Chen smiled and asked. Zhang Xiangbei was stunned for a moment, and then said, "It's me. I feel like I owe them a little." "Then you appoint them as general managers. Zhou Ruyi can be the senior general manager, Sun Xiangyang can be the special general manager, Xiang Yun can be the first-class general manager, Ding Mianli can be the number 1 general manager, Bao Tianbin can be the standing general manager, and Gu the worker is the chief general manager, and general managers of various titles are all a matter of your words. Or there is another way, that is, add a bracket after the job title on all their business cards and write equivalent to general manager inside." Zhang Xiangbei laughed loudly. Zhang Chen looked at him and asked, "It sounds ridiculous, right? But in reality, there are still many people who do this. When a county magistrate takes out his business card, after the title of the county magistrate, there will be a special note of deputy department level, because most county magistrates are at the division level." "We are not that bored yet," Zhang Xiangbei said. "That's good, then why do you still care about this?" Zhang Chen said, "I think Zhou Ruyi, Sun Xiangyang and others want to go to Hainan with you, mainly because they want to do things together. They have probably never thought about what they will do in the past. If they had thought about their positions, they wouldn't have gone there. Which position at your place is bigger than the CMO and CPO of Zaixian Delivery?" "And Gu Gong, I asked my food and drink to serve as the chief technology officer, but he was unwilling." "Where are you going? Can you give him a higher position than the chief technology officer? Your North-South Agricultural Development Company, will it be bigger than my Diet Man and Woman?" Including Bao Tianbin, if he gave up his position as the general manager of the Hainan branch of Zaixian Shui to go to you, it would be a low-profile job. With the current scale, your company cannot compare with his original company. Am I right?" "That's right," Zhang Xiangbei nodded. "Also, given the current situation of your company, do you think Bao Tianbin is suitable to be the general manager, or someone else?" Zhang Chen asked. Zhang Xiangbei thought for a while and said, "No one else has as good a knowledge of the local situation and connections as Bao Tianbin. As for the current general manager of the ranch, there is no one more suitable than him." "That's okay. You have already given yourself the answer. Enterprises go through stages, and so do people. Putting the right people in the right positions at the right time and place is the most reasonable thing. For those who want to do something, the most important thing is whether they can use their abilities here. Only a gangster will care about his position, because he does not use his work performance, but wants to use his position to bluff others. I think for Gu Gong and others, the most important thing is to put them in the right positions and let them use their energy. Of course, for you, first of all, you must be calm in your heart and don't favor one thing over another. In this way, only in this way can we ensure that our vision is objective and we can truly know people and make good use of them. As a business owner, employing people is the most important thing. To be able to employ people, you must first know them. How to know them is to see their best and worst, or weakest points. For example, your second-hand uncle, When I asked him to be the general manager of the Shanghai logistics base, Brother Tan felt that I was taking a risk. The second-hand uncle himself was shocked, thinking how could he be allowed to be the general manager? How could he be a general manager? But I think he can do it. Why? Because I see his strengths. Even though he is usually arrogant and forced to talk when he speaks, he actually has something very serious in his heart. Another valuable thing about taking people seriously is that this guy is very loyal, which means there is no problem with loyalty. As an expatriate general manager, if you ask me to choose between a fool but very loyal person and a very smart person who works secretly, I would definitely choose the fool and loyal person, because it's very simple. The most he can do is make you money. There is no money, but that smart and cunning person will most likely make you not only unable to make money, but will also dig a hole for you. The smarter you are, the bigger the hole he will dig for you. Are you looking for death by looking for such a smart person? So I would rather find a second-rate person. Besides, a second-rate person is not a fool. What is his biggest shortcoming? That is that his education level is too low, but the job I asked him to be is the general manager of the logistics space. He deals with drivers, tenants, and loaders every day, so he does not need much education. If you ask him to serve as the general manager of a foreign trade company or the director of an oil painting gallery, he will definitely not be able to do it. As the general manager of a logistics base, I think he will definitely do it. Why? Because he also has another characteristic, that is, although this guy is carefree, he is very popular, and everyone likes to deal with him. This is unconscious emotional intelligence and a natural talent. If you ask a person with such talent to deal with truck drivers, tenants, and stevedores, he will have no problems at all and will be able to get along with them very quickly. If you send a doctor there, he may be stupid when he gets there. Don't know how to deal with it at all. And your Aunt Xylee, she is also a very loyal and capable person. Although the structure is a bit small, I asked her to serve as the general manager of food and drink. I also feel that it is a bit rushed, a bit reluctant, relatively in terms of personality. She is definitely not as good as Hui Huan, but Hui Huan also grew up in this way. Zhang Xiangbei, you have to remember one thing. If the people under you are capable, you should create a bigger platform for them. Like your second-rate uncle, I will keep suppressing and adding as many opportunities as possible to him. He can manage the logistics space. If you encounter someone who is not capable enough, you must fully trust him and help him on the side, so that he can grow. Just like Xylee, if you go to see her now, she is already at ease. I don't need to worry about eating men and women now. At the beginning, I went to eat men and women every day. Now I have one or two, I only go there once a week, and so does Xylee. She calls me less and less, which shows that she has matured and can handle everything on her own. Whether it's Zhou Ruyi or Sun Xiangyang or Xiang Yun, if you ask them to take charge of a piece of work now, this piece may still be very small. For example, it's just a store in Haikan, but as long as you work hard, these small pieces will become different. It's so big that a store in Haikan will become a chain store across the country and the world. If your ranch becomes the largest steak export base in the country, then just an aging workshop will become an enterprise integrating production, transportation, and trade. The scale will be quite large, and Gugong will not be able to handle it at all. You don't have to worry about whether there are jobs for them. The platforms are all made. Every small platform can be made into a big platform. The key is how to do it. Zhang Xiangbei, you must remember that your attitude towards others can be felt by others. As long as you truly value him, he will feel this importance. He will be happy no matter where you put him. Accept it, just like your uncle Xiao Wu, he was transferred back and forth, transferred to many places, and his position was not promoted when he changed places, but he did well and was very happy. Because he knows that the things I have assigned him to do, and the places I have assigned him to, cannot be done by others. He can feel that this is trust in him. This makes him feel more satisfied than raising his position, and also have a greater sense of accomplishment. Zhang Chen talked eloquently, and Zhang Xiangbei kept nodding. They, father and son, had never spoken so many words together before. The afternoon passed like this, until it was past 5:30, and Zhang Xiangbei wanted to going to the airport. His flight is at 8 o'clock in the evening. Zhang Chen looked at his watch and said to Zhang Xiangbei, "Let's go, I'll take you to the airport." Zhang Xiangbei said quickly, "No, I drove my own car here. The car is parked below. My luggage is all in the car. I met Uncle Hagen in front. He will help me arrange a driver and drive my car to the airport, and then drive back." In this case, Zhang Chen would not force it. Zhang Xiangbei left. Zhang Chen sat there alone for a while, feeling a little excited. He felt that there was something invisible between him and Zhang Xiangbei, but something that he couldn't explain or see, was becoming tangible. Some things began to become clearer and warmer. For some reason, Zhang Chen thought of Xiao Zhao. He felt that Xiao Zhao would be happy when she saw all this, and she would laugh. Zhang Chen also laughed. Zhang Chen went back to have dinner. During dinner, he couldn't help but tell everyone about Zhang Xiangbei's visit to the office in the afternoon. "I think Zhang Xiangbei has grown up and become more sensible after getting married," Zhang Chen said. "Is it sensible to ask you for advice?" Lu Ligan said with a smile. "I often ask you questions, am I also sensible?" Roll. Zhang Chen cursed. Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqian giggled. Zhang Xiangzi raised his hand towards Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen said, "You say, Dad, I often ask you why. Am I as sensible as Bai Bei?" Zhang Xiangzi asked. Before Zhang Chen had time to answer, his mother grabbed him and said, "Of course we, Zixi, are sensible. We have been sensible since we were young." Saying that, Zhang's mother looked at Lao Zhang and said to Zhang Chen, "Isn't it the same for you? When you were young, you and your father were fighting each other with shotguns and fire. Who had subdued the other? It wasn't until you had Xiao Zhao that you became like an adult. This man will change after getting married. Once you have a child, you will be completely different. Otherwise, how can you say that old saying, 'Oh my, what is that saying?' If you don't raise a child, you don't know your parents' kindness," Xiao Fang said. "Yes, that's right. I think it means you don't raise children and don't know the difficulties of your parents," Zhang's mother said. Lao Zhang snorted from the side, and Zhang's mother shouted, "Why are you humming? You are still not convinced that you are a blunderbuss? Your previous temper was that the blunderbuss was released without pulling the trigger. It's just getting better as you get older. I am a gun, then you are a cannon." Lao Zhang was really unconvinced and cursed. Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqian laughed loudly. Zhang Chen couldn't laugh or cry. He looked at this and that. His mother and Lao Zhang both stared at him and almost said humph in unison. Shouted at him. Everyone laughed. Thank you to Makino Fenga, Daos Hung 123, Zipanjiang 1, Book Friends 538 112, Hoo, and I Love Purple for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2289. Lao Tan directed the construction company to work overtime for more than 2 months, and came up with the general framework of their podcast town. The houses are all old factory buildings. When they were originally built, they were built according to standard factory buildings. The 2 factories all looked the same. Didn't they prepare to go back to Taiwan to attract investment when they were built, so they were built like industrial zones. Now the middle wall is torn down and turned into the main thoroughfare of the entire podcast town, and the factory buildings and exterior facades are to be repainted and renovated. Large blocks of color were used when painting, and the houses looked like geometric grid paintings by the Dutch vestigial painter Mondrian, which were very simple and fashionable. Chen Hanshen's original factory had a warehouse in the middle of the factory. Next to the warehouse was the employee canteen, and above the canteen was the employee dormitory. Now, the warehouse and dormitories were demolished and two new standard factory buildings were built here. The appearance of the new factory buildings, it is the same as the original old factory building, maintaining a unified style, but the floors are built to 8 floors, thus increasing the rentable area. 2 office buildings. The one on Chen Hanshen's side was demolished and turned into a square at the entrance to the podcast town. There are sculptures and fountains in the square, as well as a newly built 2-story glass house, half of which is a Starbucks. Half of them are KFC. At the entrance of both stores, there are awnings of 70 or 80 square meters. There are tables and chairs in the sheds. Those who don't want to dine in can sit here. Xiao Hengta's office building was converted into the management office and service center of Podcast Town. Sister Gihua and Jinxiu service settled here. The property management of the entire Podcast Town was handed over to Jinxiu service, but the property company, the employees are those workers who voluntarily stayed in the original factory, and Sister Gihua retrained them. The first floors of all the houses in the podcast town are commercial buildings, which are used to open restaurants, bars, cafes, tea houses, and supermarkets. These houses have been rented out, and there are more than 30 of them in total. There are many restaurants here, ranging from Hangzhou cuisine, Hong Kong-style tea restaurants, Korean barbecue restaurants, Japanese restaurants, Shipu seafood restaurants, Northeast barbecue restaurants, Sichuan Malatang, Taiwan Lukang Town restaurants, Sichuan hot pot restaurants. There are everything from Northeast Dabagu shop to Xianyang Baomo shop, etc. There is also a Lawson convenience store, and Wang Minchen's Black Forest cake shop and milk tea shop. The passages here have turned into commercial streets. These shops are now being renovated, and everything is buzzing and bustling. The interiors of the first 2 factory buildings have been renovated, and the anxious tenants have moved in. While they were doing the live broadcast, the sound of ping ping pong 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 decoration was heard from downstairs. They and them, these podcasters, could only shout at the top of their lungs, trying to drown out the voices below. Unexpectedly, the louder they and them shouted, the more they became popular among fans. The loud roar turned into a kind of live broadcast. Lu Ligan called them howlers for their style, which is comparable to the American howler poet Ginsberg. The vacant land next to Xiao Hengta has been converted into commercial land. There are 3 22-story buildings with basements connected together. A large pit was dug out in more than 2 months. Now the underground hidden project is being poured. Once the underground part is completed and the head pops up, in Lao Tan's words, it will grow upward, like bamboo shoots. The houses converted from old factories in Podcast Town have all been rented out. Many people, or powerful big brand companies, simply booked office buildings in the high-rise buildings here. The rent of office buildings is half as expensive as that in the factory buildings. Unexpectedly, the brand doesn't care at all. They say that what they value is the resources of the podcast town and they must settle here. Tan Shahen did not expect that those who did live broadcasts also like to get together. Tan Shahen knew little about the live broadcast industry and did not know what resources they were talking about. Lu Yun took Ween went to find Tan Shahen. They spread the flower network and rented the 4th floor of one of the 3 office buildings. Tan Shahen was puzzled and asked, "You want to move here?" "No, it's about expansion. We need to make use of the resources you have here," Lu Yun said. "Resources? What resources does this blog town have?" Tan Shahen asked. People are the biggest resource for live broadcasting," Lu Yun said. "Just like men and women across the country who want to be stars, they will go to Hengdian. As the reputation of the podcast town grows, All those who want to be anchors will go to Hongdian. Come here. There are also sellers who want to sell things, and they want to contact the live broadcast business, they will also come here. Sister Shahen, do you know that your place will be much prettier than the Sky City e-commerce park in the future? Wenwen said. Good looking, Tan Shahen asked, are you talking about the exaggerated looking houses here? Not only the house, but the house is also beautiful. The most beautiful thing is the people, Wenwen said. There are many old-fashioned treasure sellers and software companies in the Sky City, and we are the only ones doing live broadcasts. Walking there, when you walk around, there are always the kind of science and engineering guys who have their heads tilted and can't speak clearly. From now on, all the people walking around here will be handsome men and beautiful women. I can guarantee that your place will definitely be the busiest place in Jubeo in the future. Even the farmers nearby will stop playing mahjong and come to this town to see beauties when they have nothing to do. Tan Shahen was made to laugh by Wenwen, and she finally understood that her resource advantage was here. Before leaving for Beijing, Tan Shahen dragged Zhang Chen to the podcast town and asked him to see what needed improvement. Zhang Chen was walking around the podcast town. When he walked to the square, he had an idea and said, a big screen can be erected here for advertising. By the way, there are so many live broadcast rooms inside, and they can also buy out the big screen. Synchronize their live broadcast rooms here. There will definitely be many live broadcasters who want to do this, at least Lu Yun and the others will be willing to pay for it. Zhang Chen stood there and looked around. He pointed to the management office house and said, it's just standing there. That house has no special features. You can use a big screen to completely cover it. After all, it's an internal service organization. It's hidden, it doesn't matter at all. Tan Shahen said yes. She also thought Zhang Chen's idea was good. It would be really cool to put up a big screen in the square entering the park. It's not dazzling enough, Zhang Chen said. This square always feels a bit lacking and a bit monotonous. A podcast town should be dazzling, very dazzling. Say it quickly, how else can you show off? Tan Shahen shouted. Let me think about it. Zhang Chen rolled his eyes at her and scolded, you think I'm just toothpaste, you can squeeze it in any time you want. Tan Shahen laughed, okay, I'll let you go, but don't forget this. So what if I forget? My daughter is already married anyway, should I return it? Zhang Chen said. You dare, be careful, Bai Bei comes to beat you, Tan Shahen said. Zhang Chen laughed. The next day, a large group of people went to Beijing to participate in the autumn art auction. Zhang Chen, Xiaofang, Lu Yun, Wu Ziyawai, Lu Ligan, Tan Shahen, and Zhao Xian each represented their respective companies. Zhao Xian represents the Riverside Oil Painting Gallery, and his goal is to go to Yao Fen's paintings. The first-class cabin on this flight was all booked by them. Everyone was sitting in the VIP lounge at the airport. Tan Shahen asked Zhang Chen, does this count as bid rigging? Forget it, but in the art auction industry, there is no such thing as bid rigging, Zhang Chen said. However, almost every artist you can see now has capital behind it. This industry it's not as simple as you think. When Zhang Chen was talking, Zhao Xian kept nodding his head in agreement. Wu Ziyawai asked, how innocent is it? Let me give you an example, such as those who paint Chinese paintings. It is clear that his works are only worth 50,000, but how can they sell a painting for 5 million? The agent will do this and find a company that is interested in the painter's paintings. Let them take a picture, spend 5 million at the auction, and take one picture. In fact, the artist gave them 100 pictures in private. In this way, the actual price is still 50,000. But this is something that is beneficial to everyone. The auction company has received a commission. Of course, this commission can be negotiated in advance. It is not that high. For example, it can be negotiated that no matter what the final auction price is, it will be 100,000 or 200,000. Commission is more beneficial to the company that buys the paintings. This painter's paintings were sold for 5 million, and the market for his paintings will definitely be bullish. So the 100 pieces he got will be more than 5 million, right? Wu Ziyawai interrupted Zhang Chen and asked. Zhang Chen said that's right, that's it. It's more beneficial to the painter himself. In this way, his value will be increased. Then are we going to raise Yao Fen's worth this time? Tan Shahen asked. It can be said that it is, or it can be said that it is not. To be more precise, it is to help her discover value, Zhang Chen said. In comparison with the works that our art museum has collected and participated in auctions over the years, I think Yao Fen's paintings, a painting should cost more than 3 million yuan, but she originally had no fame and no capital to pursue her. No matter how good her paintings are, she still. The name doesn't match, Xiao Fang said. Yes, the name does not match her work. The actual price of her works will be underestimated by the market, Zhang Chen said. What we have to do is to raise her to a suitable level, where the name and reality match. We will be the capital behind her, Lu Yun said. That's right, Zhang Chen said. The specific operation is that if the price does not exceed 3 million yuan, we will hold up a sign and raise the price. What if it's more than 3 million, Wu Ziyawai asked. That means someone has discovered the value of Yao Fen's works, and everyone is free to take pictures if they want. If you don't want to, don't raise your hands, Zhang Chen said with a smile. Yao Fen has a total of 5 works participating in the auction this time. Zhang Chen and Zhao Xian are both optimistic about the Miro painting. Riverside Oil Painting Gallery will buy it no matter how much it costs. In recent years, a pattern has been formed. Due to the reputation of the Riverside Oil Painting Gallery and its status in the domestic oil painting community, the price of any painter collected and photographed by the Riverside Oil Painting Gallery will definitely rise. Zhang Chen and the others had arranged that the auction company would put this painting in first place for auction. Zhao Xian held up his sign to try to get off to a good start. In addition to this one, there are 4 other paintings. Wu Ziyawai said. Anyway, I definitely want to take one, so don't compete with me, but Mr. Zhang, you have to help me choose and see which one is better. Zhang Chen originally wanted to tell Wu Ziyawai that art is a matter of opinion and everyone has their own needs and preferences. There are no certain standards, but he still nodded and agreed. Zhang Chen, do you think there is anything fishy about this art auction? Tan Shahen asked. Zhang Chen smiled and said, Zhao Xian knows better. Let Zhao Xian tell you. Zhao Xian said, as far as the auction itself is concerned, anyone who often attends auctions knows that in the auction venue, the first few prices shouted by the auctioneer are actually the ones that no one bids for. Those are the chandelier prices. What? It means that the auctioneer points in that direction and calls out a price. In fact, no one is holding a sign in that direction. He is pointing to the chandelier hanging from the ceiling. The chandelier price is to stir up the atmosphere in the venue, and also to prevent everyone from knowing the bottom price of this work, which is the price at which the seller agrees to sell it. If everyone knows the bottom price, they will stick to the bottom price and refuse to buy. Lift up. So you go and watch. At the auction site, the auctioneer shouted the first few prices, just like a little monk chanting sutras. Soon, 2.5 million, 2.55 million, 2.6 million, a string of murmurs, and his fingers pointed east and west. You just saw he turned to the east, and before he could see if anyone was holding a sign there, he turned to the west, and he was actually pointing at the chandelier on the ceiling. Wouldn't it be embarrassing if no one was really fooled and no one was tricked into raising a sign at this time? Lu Li asked. No, at the auction site, there are always impulsive people who will raise their cards. There are only a few unsold auctions. Zhao Xian said that Tan Shahen looked at Lu Ligan, and Lu Ligan smiled. He knew why Tan Shahen looked at him. He was such an impulsive person. If no one really raises a sign, it doesn't matter. Many works actually have a guaranteed minimum price, and there is a guarantor behind them. At this time, the guarantor who guaranteed the minimum price will raise a sign. Zhao Xi and explain. Who is this guarantor? Wu Ziyai asked. Zhao Xian took a sip of water and continued. When the auction company receives a valuable lot, they will find some target customers. If a target customer is interested in the lot, the seller, the auction company and the target customer will sign a guarantee agreement. At this time, the target customer will become a guarantor. Everyone has negotiated, for example, 3 million. This 3 million is the reserve price. When the auction price is lower than 3 million, the guarantor will settle the transaction for 3 million. If the auction price is higher than 3 million, the seller will pay the excess amount. It must be divided with the guarantor, usually between 30% and 50%. Doing this is beneficial to all three parties. For the seller, he has sold the lot at a guaranteed reserve price at a price he can accept. The extra part is beyond his psychological expectations. It is also a big deal for the auction company. In other words, this order is already stable. As for the guarantor, it means that I bid for the lot at a price I can accept, and I got the best one. But if I didn't buy it, the lot was bought by someone else, and I also got part of the income, so why not rather than do it? The most typical example is that in 2010, Picasso's masterpiece Nude, Green Leaves and Bust was auctioned at Christie's. Before the auction, Christie's found a third party to provide a guarantee and signed a guarantee of $70 million. Protocol. In the end, the painting was sold for $106.5 million, setting a record for the highest auction of art in the world at that time. There was a difference of more than $30 million between the transaction price and the asking price, regardless of the proportion of their agreement. As for the share, the mysterious guarantor behind the scenes received a considerable amount of share. Zhao Xian looked at Zhang Chen as he spoke, and asked with a smile, "Boss, can you talk about the things in our library?" Zhang Chen nodded. "We are all our own people here, of course you can say that." Zhao Xian said, "Why do we participate in so many auctions every year? There are many auctions. We have not auctioned any of our works, but in fact, we have earned income. We have become the guarantor, and they sell theirs. We sit back and wait to be paid." "I'll go, there's a way to make money," Lu Ligan shouted. "I just know now that your art museum can make money by doing this." "Of course," Zhao Xian said with a proud smile. "Where is our reputation? We act as guarantors, and we don't even have to pay the deposit. There is no other way. Who can make the sellers and auction companies trust us? Besides, it's us. You may think that the works we took are worth 10 or 20 million, but we actually didn't pay that much. Tell me, you city people are so good at playing. I came from the country and must broaden my horizons." Wu Ziyai's appetite was whetted and he shouted loudly. "Thank you Brokeback Mountain for the reward of 2 fishes. Thank you to Andy, Shiyo Scooter, Zhongxing Ming Chen, Hu, Shi Yitan, Bolank, Yunlong Frajio, Lao Chen Tang, Shiyo 201802241122201712, and Shiyo 202203241858433375 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2290. Wu Ziyai asked Zhao Xian, "Director Zhao, what did you say? You took a picture, but you didn't actually pay that much. What happened?" "That's the other way around," Zhao Xian and Wu Ziyai said. "For example, in an auction, If there is a work that we are determined to win and must take the photo, we will also go to the auction company and the seller to sign a guarantee first. The guarantee agreement for the reserve price promised that we would buy the painting for, say, 5 million. Generally speaking, many other people will definitely like the works we like, but the sellers and auction companies need us to hold up the sign, because once we hold up the sign, other buyers will see it. Even the Riverside oil painting gallery, if they have all been raised, there is no mistake. They will follow suit and raise the price. Therefore, sellers and auction companies like to sign an agreement with us, so that they can buy with peace of mind first. During the actual auction, we participated in the bidding. If the price exceeded our expectations, we gave up and waited for the money. If it was within the acceptable range, we bought it. For example, we bought the last work if we bought it for 8 million, in fact, we don't need to pay 8 million, only 6.5 million is enough. There is also the 1.5 million, which was agreed when we signed the guarantee agreement. If we bid for the work at a price exceeding the guaranteed price, the seller needs to give us 50% of the so-called financing for the part exceeding the guaranteed price. Fee, this way, 1.5 million will be saved. After a work goes through an auction, it is like a person opening a door and entering the public eye. Everyone can see your path map. If our museum wants to continue collecting this work, then collection. If we don't want to continue collecting it and we sell it again, at this time, the starting price will generally be higher than our last purchase price. That is to say, the last record I made public was not for 8 million. This time, the starting price is 9 million, otherwise no one would sell it, right? But no one knows that we actually bought it for 605 million. I bought it for 100,000 yuan and sold it at the lowest price, and I made a lot of money. Lu Yun also became interested after hearing this. She said, I didn't expect that an art museum like yours would be a literary and art institution. It should be very simple and far away from the smell of copper. I didn't expect it to be like a profiteer. Zhao Xian smiled and said, there are dozens of us who also need to eat. Of course we can't compare with you who work in investment banks. You are so tall. Wrong, those of us who work in investment banking are not high-ranking people, but the lowest and most secular industry. To say high-ranking is a misunderstanding from outsiders. If someone in investment banking thinks he is high-ranking, then he is a liar. Undoubtedly, the best we can do is to be well-dressed. Xiaofang intervened. Oh, Xiaofang, what's wrong with you? Do you look down on yourself so much? Lu Ligan shouted. That's right, Xiaofang said, we use money to make money, and we deal with money every day. What is money? Put it in front of you. You see that the printing is very beautiful, and you shake it in your hand and scratch it? Yes, but are there any good words that are closely related to money? For money, there are things like killing, deception, robbery, speculation, cheating, being unjust, duplicitous, etc. Isn't this what we are born with money? Of course, wages and income from labor are related to money, but to be honest, don't you think that money is not very good looking and is synonymous with poverty? Salary and income from labor are not things that fools do. Is it? Being looked down upon by others. On the contrary, those rich people who get rich overnight will be sought after by everyone, and no one will care about what is behind this overnight success. Back to the investment bank itself, what we think about every day is how to make money. In order to make money, we can do whatever it takes. Brothers can turn against each other, and fellow countrymen can insert knives in your back. Today I call you brother and sister, but tomorrow, as long as you fail to achieve your goal, I'm sorry. I have to kick you out. How noble do you think you are? It can be said that this is the most ruthless industry. People who are not ruthless can't be an investment banker, and those who can't let go of their figure can't be an investment banker. If you can only sit in an office building, you are basically committing suicide. I want to invest in an agricultural project. I don't want to go to the fields like farmers. What if I invest in an urban renewal project? I don't want to dig into sewers. Look at septic tanks. It's just that in the past few years, everyone in China has focused on the internet and real estate, and investment banks have also focused on the internet and real estate. This makes people think that investment banking is very high-end, but in fact, this is not the essence of investment banking. Don't look at today's happy dance. If there is another internet bubble crisis, a large number of investment banks will be unlucky, including those who invest in real estate. Every real estate giant collapses, and a series of investment banks will lose their money. Let me go, Xiaofang, are you confessing yourself? Lu Ligan asked. It's not self-repentance. Xiaofang is right. In fact, the road to investment banking is still a bloody road. You only see those who make money, but you don't see those who jump off buildings. Like Lehman Brothers, the scale is so big. It will still fail. During the financial crisis, how many investment banks died on Wall Street in one night? One day, those people were the proud ones of heaven, and the next day, they were sleeping on the streets. Lu Yun said, looking at Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan, and said to them, "It's just me. Isn't it the same? I almost can't sit here with you now." Everyone knows what Lu Yun is talking about and the obstacles she encountered. If it weren't for the help of her friends, Lu Yun might have gone to jail at that time. Thank you, Zhang Chen. You told me all about it later. After so many years, Lu Yun finally said thank you. At that time, Zhang Chen rushed to Beijing for Lu Yun. Zhang Chen shook his head and quickly changed the subject. He said, "Let's talk about auctions. Nowadays, the auction industry is also full of filth. Through auctions, money laundering, bribery, asset transfer, and corruption can be found in all kinds of ways. I like to hear this, Mr. Zhang, please tell me," Wu Ziyawai said. "Do you want to give or accept bribes?" Zhang Chen asked Wu Ziyawai. Wu Ziyawai said, "It's better to pay bribes. People like us can accept bribes of any kind. The most we can accept is a cigarette. It's simple. The auction market doesn't care whether the auction is genuine or not. Even if you spend 100 million, it's normal to find a fake. You have to pay a bribe and let the guy spend a few $100 to buy a fake painting and let the family send it to the auction market, and then you can buy it for 5 million to 10 million, and the money will be given away. This is the simplest. With a little more technical content, you can buy an authentic painting, and then find a small auction company to hold an auction that no one knows about. You can buy a painting for 5 million for 5,000 yuan. Bid it to him there, and after a few months, he would send the painting to a big auction company. If someone bids it for a high price, he would make money. In the auction market, buyers and sellers can be anonymous or entrusted. In this way, everything is done without anyone noticing. If something goes wrong, and it is investigated, he can also say that he has good vision. In the auction market I picked something up. As Zhang Chen spoke, Wu Ziyawai kept nodding his head. He said, "It seems more powerful than just sending money directly. What about corruption? How can you be corrupt? Corruption is also very simple. If you have real power in a certain unit, you can collude with the Pole, for example. He will take a piece of work to the auction market, and you can buy it at a high price, and you can divide the money privately. Now this bank is doing this. Obviously the painter is a second-rate artist, but his paintings have been auctioned for tens of millions. In the past few years, they have been auctioned off by the same bank. If there's no tricks or corruption, I definitely won't believe it," Zhang Chen said. "There are also people who use art to launder money. This requires some discernment. It's not enough to buy fakes. You can buy them at an auction company in Beijing or Shanghai. Sent to an auction company in Hong Kong to be sold. After selling, the money is transferred out. If it is done well, not only will there be no loss, but also a profit. Zhao Xian said before that generally speaking, art will increase in value once it is auctioned. If you bought it for 50 million in Shanghai, it is normal to sell it for 60 million in Hong Kong. Is there anything else? Is there anything fishy? Wu Ziyawai asked. That's a lot, Zhang Chen said with a smile. Wu Ziyawai, do you want to eat this kind of food? No, I just understand, Wu Ziyawai said. Okay, for example, if the company spends 20 million to buy a piece of work and hang it in the company's conference room, this can be registered as a fixed asset in the books. Fixed assets can be depreciated. The depreciation is 100% per year. 10 times, after 10 years, this work will have no value on paper. You can buy it home for $1, but its actual value will still be there. 20 million yuan is actually not only a penny less, but it has also probably increased in value. If you buy it for 1 yuan, your account will be even. You are a private enterprise, so you can't just take away 20 million from the books. That's fine. On the one hand, you have evaded taxes. On the other hand, your actual wealth has increased. If you are the head of a state-owned enterprise, do you understand the little juju here? I understand, there are really pitfalls here, Wu Ziyawai said. They are all tricks, it just depends on how you play. The attendant came over and urged them to board the plane. Everyone stood up, left the VIP lounge, and walked to the boarding gate. On the plane, Tan Shahan put down her seat and was about to go to sleep. There was an aisle between them, and Xiao Fang, who was sitting in the back row, came over and said to Tan Shahan, "Sister Shahan, let's change seats. He's looking for you." Tan Shahan turned around and saw Zhang Chen waving to her. Tan Shahan stood up and walked over and sat down in Xiao Fang's seat. "What's the matter?" Tan Shahan asked. "I just looked at the screen and thought about what should be done with the square in the podcast town." Zhang Chen pointed to the small screen in front of him and said. "How to deal with it?" Tan Shahan asked. "Projectors can be set up around the square to project images onto the square," Zhang Chen said. "Project the image," Tan Shahan wondered, "will it be clear?" "You can use a high-lumen projector, and it doesn't need to be very clear. It just needs to be able to render out the atmosphere. For example, in summer, you can show the heavy snow in the square, or the petals and leaves falling from the sky. The image, like the one we shot on the stage curtain, was just shot on the ground," Zhang Chen said. "Yes, this is okay," Tan Shahan understood immediately. "Thank you, Brokeback Mountain, for the reward of 2 fishes. Thank you, Hoo, Wind and Wing, and Void Broken Dream, for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2291. After returning from Beijing, Zhang Chen immediately went to Hainan. This time in Beijing, they took 2 paintings by Yao Fen, one by Riverside Oil Painting Gallery and one by Wu Ziyawai. Lu Ligan and Lu Yun also wanted to. Zhang Chen persuaded them to bid, and told them that they could still bid in subsequent auctions, but this time they would give it to others first. The people holding the placards were very enthusiastic, which showed that Zhang Chen and the others had done a good job in the early stage, and the atmosphere was stirred up. Many collectors were very interested in Yao Fen's works, especially when they saw Zhang Chen so strongly recommending Riverside Oil Paintings. Guan has been collected again, and I feel that the market outlook is definitely bullish, so I must take advantage now. Among Yao Fen's 5 works, the most expensive one was sold for 8.55 million yuan, and the lowest one was sold for 4.2 million yuan. This is already a very good price among domestic female oil painters. Before Zhang Chen and the others returned to Hangzhou, a reporter rushed to Hangzhou, found Xiaoshu and Yao Fen, and conducted an exclusive interview with them. The article appeared online and Zhang Chen saw it when he was at the airport. The article said, Xiaoshu and Yao Fen are another pair of divine eagle heroes who appeared in the Chinese oil painting world after Lu Xiaodong and Yu Hong. Zhang Chen came back from Hainan. His driver Xiao Sheng came to pick him up at the airport. The car was still on the airport expressway. Zhang Chen's cell phone rang. He looked at it and saw that it was Xiao Feng, so he quickly picked it up. As soon as the call came through, Xiao Feng shouted breathlessly on the phone, "Dear, Mom fainted and has been sent to the #1 city hospital. Lu Yun and I are rushing there. Sister Shahen has already passed. She just beat you." The call didn't go through. Zhang Chen's heart skipped a beat and asked, "Your mother or my mother?" "Your mother, my mother was also there. Two old ladies were walking around Longxiang Bridge, and your mother suddenly fainted," Xiao Fang said anxiously. Zhang Chen was also anxious and asked, "Is it serious?" "I don't know now, and my mother can't tell." "Where are you now?" "Still on the airport expressway." "Then you go directly to the hospital," Xiao Fang said. Zhang Chen said yes. Zhang Chen and Xiao Sheng said, "Go to the city #1 hospital." After saying that, Zhang Chen leaned back, closed his eyes, and his heart was beating wildly. He clenched his fists with both hands and tried his best to calm himself down. This news was so surprising. His mother has always been in good health. It's rare to even catch a cold, so why did you suddenly faint? Zhang Chen didn't believe it, but thinking about Lao Liu's sudden death, he felt that nothing was impossible. In Zhang Chen's family, Lao Zhang has the worst temper. But in fact, the backbone of the family has always been his mother, whom he misses every day. Sometimes even Lao Zhang goes too far and angers Zhang Chen's mother. If she Lao Zhang is still afraid of losing his temper, but his mother rarely loses her temper. With more people in the family, especially after Xiaofang's parents came to Hangzhou from Chongqing, Zhang Chen's mother lost her temper less often and deliberately controlled herself in this regard. Even if Lao Zhang went too far, she would not take it lightly or scold him harshly. Just a few words and forget it. Lao Zhang and Xiaofang's father, two land reclamation warriors, were together every day. They said that Lao Zhang had gone too far. Zhang Chen's mother was worried that Xiaofang's father would think too much. She was not afraid that the speaker had no intention of speaking and the listener had other intentions. Zhang Chen felt that at home, his mother was like the glue that held so many of them together. If she had any shortcomings, Zhang Chen didn't know what the family would do next. Zhang Chen was first with Xiao Zhao, and later with Xiao Fang. His mother had a very good relationship with these two daughters-in-law, and treated them as her own daughters. For a period of time, Zhang Chen and He Hongmei were together. His mother and He Hongmei were also very good when they were together. When the two finally broke up, his mother still regretted it for a long time. Until Zhang Xiangbei got married and He Hongmei came back from Japan, his mother still treated He Hongmei as one of her own family members. Zhang Chen sat in the passenger seat and let out a long sigh. The driver Xiao Sheng looked at him but didn't say what he wanted to say. He just stepped on the accelerator and let the car swish forward. The car was driving on the second Qianzhong Bridge. When crossing the Qiantang River, Zhang Chen opened his eyes. He picked up his mobile phone and dialed Tan Shahen. The call was connected. Zhang Chen only said hello for half of it when Tan Shahen interrupted him. "Auntie has been sent to the inpatient ward, 520. Halfway through Tan Shahen's words, Zhang Chen heard someone on the phone calling Director Tan, and then Tan Shahen said to the other person, "Hello, Dean Shi, thank you," and then the phone was disconnected. Zhang Chen knew that Tan Shahen they are busy over there and have found connections. No matter what disease his mother has, the hospital has begun to use the best medical resources. Zhang Chen did not call to interrupt Tan Shahen, but kept scrolling in his mind, 520, 520, 520. As soon as Xiao Sheng stopped the car at the gate of the #1 city hospital, Zhang Chen opened the car door suddenly. The car door almost hit a woman in her 40s, startling her. She glared at Zhang Chen and cursed. "The well is dead. Looking for death." Zhang Chen didn't bother to argue with her, so he said "I'm sorry" and ran away. Zhang Chen arrived at the inpatient department. There were many people waiting at the door of several elevators. He saw that all the elevators were still going up, and none of them were coming down. Zhang Chen couldn't wait any longer, so he pushed aside the emergency exit door. "Open the door and run all the way upstairs." I ran to the 5th floor, pushed open the security door, and looked at 520 on both sides. When I ran to the door of 520, the door of 520 was open, and the sound of many people talking came from inside. When Zhang Chen heard it, he almost collapsed to the ground. Zhang Chen breathed a long sigh of relief, and then realized that his back was soaked. He heard his mother's voice coming from inside. The voice was loud and confident, as well as those of Tan Shahen and Lu Ligan. Laughter. Zhang Chen walked into the ward and saw his mother half lying on the bed, talking to Tan Shahen, Lu Ligan, and Xiaofang's mother. Zhang Chen hurried over and asked, "How are you doing?" Zhang's mother smiled and said, "I'm fine. It's just that my vision went dark and I fainted. After a while, I woke up." Lu Ligan said, "Auntie is really awesome after she wakes up." "What's wrong?" Zhang Chen asked. "Ask your mother, let her tell you herself," Lu Ligan shouted. Zhang Chen's mother kept smiling, but she didn't say anything. Xiaofang's mother told Zhang Chen, and Zhang Chen also started laughing. Two old ladies were shopping together in the Longxiangqiao market. Today was Saturday and there were many people in the market. The two of them wandered into a store selling buttons. They saw that there were shirt buttons of various colors and sizes to buy, and they wanted to choose. Some buttons were brought home for later use. The store owner took out a cardboard box with a variety of buttons, and asked them to choose. The two of them squatted down and rummaged through the cardboard box. Zhang Chen's mother and Xiaofang's mother said that they should pick 7 of the same ones and make a pair. In this way, if a button fell off and couldn't be found, they could put it on a shirt. All 7 buttons were replaced. Men and women, with buttons of various styles and colors, they picked out more than 20 pieces in total. When Zhang Chen's mother stood up and was about to pay, she suddenly felt her eyes darken, and she fell back and fell in the corridor. When Xiaofang's mother saw that she had fainted, she was frightened and hurriedly tried to help her. Those around her, including the stall owner, saw an old lady fainted and not only did not come to help, but they all ran away. Formed a circle around them, but no one dared to come over. Xiaofang's mother was alone and couldn't help her up even if she wanted to. At this time, Zhang Chen's mother opened her eyes and felt pain in her lower back. She couldn't stand up even if she wanted to. When she looked at the people beside her, she immediately understood. He shouted to them, "Help me quickly. I have medical insurance. My son and wife are rich. I promise I won't blackmail you." Those people on the side heard what the old lady said, and then someone came forward to helped her up, and sat on the chair brought by the stall owner. Some people also helped call 120. When 120 arrived, someone else helped carry the stretcher and took her to the hospital. "Go to the elevator." "How are you now?" Zhang Chen asked Tan Shahen. "Everything has been checked, and there is nothing wrong. There is soft tissue damage in the waist, but it's okay. It should have hit something when I fell down." The doctor said, "Stay in the hospital for another day of observation and do a comprehensive examination. If there are no problems, you can be discharged from the hospital tomorrow," Tan Shahen said. Zhang Chen breathed a sigh of relief. Xiaofang and Lu Yun ran in from outside. Xiaofang asked while running, "How is it? How is Mom?" Before Zhang Chen and the others could say anything, Zhang Chen's mother shouted, "I'm fine, Xiao Fang, I just fell. Xiao Fang walked over, sat down by the bed, and asked, is everything okay? It's okay, it's okay. I even want to go home. I don't even want to stay in the hospital. The doctor doesn't let me go back and says I have to stay here for observation. Zhang Chen's mother laughed. Xiao Fang looked at Tan Shahan, who nodded. Xiao Fang breathed a sigh of relief. She hugged Zhang Chen's mother, started to cry, and choked with sobs. You almost scared me to death. Zhang Chen's mother quickly coaxed her and said, don't cry, Xiao Fang, it's not like I just fell down because I had nothing to do. Who wouldn't fall down? The doctor came in from outside. Tan Shahan saw him and said hello, Dr. Zone. Dr. Zone nodded and asked, are the family members here? Here, Tan Shahan introduced, this is her son, and this is her daughter-in-law. Zhang Chen shook hands with Dr. Zone and asked, what disease did my mother have, and why did she faint suddenly? After hearing this, Tan Shahan quickly winked at Zhang Chen and touched him. Zhang Chen immediately understood that she was being abrupt. If she had any illness, she couldn't tell him in front of the patient. Dr. Zone saw it and smiled and said, it's okay, it's okay. I'll just say it here. It's not a big deal. I still have to explain a few words to the old lady. Everyone listened. Dr. Zone said, the old lady's disease cannot actually be called a disease. In our medical terminology, it is called vasovagal syncope. It belongs to nerve-mediated syncope and is the most common type of syncope. Its essence is widespread and temporary insufficient perfusion of blood in the brain, which usually lasts for a few seconds or minutes and then recovers on its own. That's right, I just fainted suddenly and woke up on my own, Zhang Chen's mother shouted when she heard this. Yes, old lady, I have understood it. You were squatting to pick buttons, and then you suddenly stood up and fainted, right? Dr. Zone asked. Zhang Chen's mother said that she was right, and her vision went dark. You fainted because you squatted for too long and suddenly stood up. As a result, you developed orthostatic hypotension, Dr. Zone said. What kind of syncope is this? Is there any way to eradicate it? Zhang Chen asked. No, there is currently no good method, and the preventive effects of drugs are disappointing. Taking nitroglycerin will have some effect, but I don't recommend it. There is no convincing data to prove that it is really effective. Dr. Zone shook his head as he spoke, and Zhang Chen thought to himself that this was probably another 30% of the medical problems that the attending doctor in Chongqing, Old Lu, said were not understood by humans. Dr. Zone walked to the hospital bed and said to Zhang Chen's mother, look at me, oh, this old lady can also learn from this. In the future, when you encounter this situation and feel like you are about to faint, just do this. Like me, did you see it? Make fists with both hands, upper body tighten up, cross your legs, and tighten your leg muscles, so you can prevent syncope. Dr. Zone said and demonstrated. Thank you for your monthly votes on the road, Tian Tian, Lao Shenzi Sang, Zipanjiang 1, Feng Konghu 1974. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone.